Thank you. Just seen your message. Cheers, fella.
Most experienced they would have probably in the team or in the squad. I mean, obviously there's loads of experience in terms of football within the squad. Yeah, certainly in terms of
You can push them that way. Oh, the windows. I don't know, I haven't asked. I've been busy writing the football show for tomorrow because I'm doing the football. So I haven't really been out there and asked. Oh no, mate. I'm down at Bournemouth tomorrow. Bournemouth, Sheffield United. Hey. Which one? Hey, I'll tell you. Oh, hang on. I've written down all the names that have come in, but I can't remember at the moment. Hang on, mate, I'll have a look. There can't be. I don't think there is a new track here, but yeah. Oh, Anthony, you know that microphone leak during the championship game. Is that? Did you pick it up? Because I can't find it in my bag. It was a red one, a bit like the one you're plugging in there, because it just reminded me. Do you think that's mine? I was looking for it the other day. Hang on.
BBC radio service. Now, when I came on air at 6 o'clock, I said that the weather was looking okay and we're guaranteed play at the Ageas Bowl. And we are going to get play, but Kev, as soon as I open my big mouth, the clouds start to form and it's looking like a storm out there at the moment.
Well, we're okay here at the moment. I mean, it is overcast, don't get me wrong, but we are okay. We will get a start at 9 o'clock, looking at my weather app, at 7 o'clock, by the way, but it does look as though we might get some weather around 9 o'clock. So, I don't know, we could play at least half this game, maybe a little bit more, which I think is good news, because, as you said, a little earlier, it was looking worse than that.
Hampshire against Somerset, Kevin James will bring you commentary. If you follow us on Twitter at Somerset, there you can find the link to listen. Kev, Hampshire fourth in the group at the moment, and they were on a nice little run until that slip up against Kent. It'll be quite important just to get that momentum going again tonight.
Yeah, it certainly would. Wins against Essex and Somerset at Taunton, actually, which they don't usually win in this competition down there, actually got us all excited. But yeah, a couple of defeats since that. Sussex at Hove and Kent here at the... Sorry, win against Glamorgan here, but the loss against Kent at Beckenham has just set things back a little bit. But it's still early days. We're only halfway during the group stages. We've played 7. There's 7 more to come. Hampshire in the last of the qualification places, so nothing to sort of panic about at the moment. But you have to say that around about 7 wins, maybe even 8, depending on how this group goes, will get you through to the quarterfinals. Now that would mean if it's 7. Then Hampshire need to win 4 out of their last 7. So it needs a little bit of a change around in form. The 3 games they have lost have all been close. They're not winning the close games at the moment. Maybe that might change, and if they do, then they're into the quarterfinals.
I'd like to ask Kev about the home advantage. In football, we know that the home fans normally just give so much abuse to the away team. It becomes unbearable.
This is cricket.
What's it like for cricketers? Is it important to have home advantage? Do you get more used to the wicket at the Ageas Bowl?
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, each ground has its own little unique feature about it. You know, some are smaller, some are bigger. This one's one of the bigger playing surfaces in the country. So, you know, what's slightly different about this, apart from that, is that there are a lot of twos that you can run, whereas on some grounds you don't. Now, you would think that Hampshire would know that and would take advantage of that, and probably, you know, they would score more twos on this ground than the opposition. But, you know, at the end of the day, players that play regularly and go around the country kind of know that as well. But, you know, but there is a slight advantage from that. I mean, I'd like to see Hampshire run really hard tonight, and that might make the difference, especially if we have a shortened form of the game. But make no mistake about that, Hampshire are slightly underperforming this competition. You would expect them to get slightly better. Somerset the same as well. They're in 6th. They've only won 3 out of their 7, but they are a better side than that. Babar Azam, the Pakistan batsman, is scoring a lot of runs in this competition, including a 90 against Hampshire in this game a couple of weeks ago at Taunton. So, you know, they are a pretty decent side. They've already beaten Hampshire, of course, in the 50 over white ball competition at Lords early in the season. So this could be quite close.
Kev, any news on the toss as well?
Yes, it is. Yeah, Hampshire have won the toss and they're going to bowl first. Not surprising, really, with this rain around. They would probably, at this stage, if the weather pans out the way we think it is, the Hampshire will have a shortened chase, and that's probably ideal. So that's why James Vince decided to bowl first, having won the toss, and Hampshire unchanged from the side that lost to Kent at Beckenham last Sunday.
Yeah, top man. Thank you very much, Kevin James at the Ageas Bowl on that commentary of Hampshire.
Represented by number 18 Hampshire, number 56 number 25 James Cleveland, number 28 Captain Tom Campbell, number 97 David Connery, number 52 Neil William, number 15 Tony Campbell, number 12 Paul Davidson, number 5 Tim Brunel, number 75, Jerome Taylor. At number 10, Max Watt. Now here is the series Hampshire lineup. At the top of the order, number 30, Ryan Russell. Wearing 12, Aaron Donald. Captain number 14, James Fitz. Number 17, Sam Northings. Wearing 8, William Dawson. Number 26, James Miller. Number 2, Chris Morris. Wearing 18, Lewis Lucas. Number 93, Brad Taylor. Number 25, Chris Wood. And number 11, Kyle Adams. Those who are the senior teams, the umpires finally on board. Scores
Welcome to the Ageas Bowl. We're going to get a game. Quite how much of this game we're going to get, we'll have to wait and see, but at the moment it's dry. It is slightly overcast, but we should be okay for a little while at the very least. This is T20 cricket here at the Ageas Bowl. It's Hampshire against Somerset. Hampshire have won the toss and they are going to bowl first. Your commentary team tonight, myself, Kevin James, and next to me it's Emily Windsor. Hello.
Good evening. It's good to see actually some cricket. I think yesterday, sort of looking at the forecast, I thought it was going to be a no-go, but actually to see some cricket, it's always a fantastic game, isn't it? Hampshire, Somerset. So both teams have some star players that we're looking forward to seeing.
We certainly are. We'll go through the teams in a moment. Hampshire go into this game in 4th place, Somerset in 6th. Top 4 in the South Group qualify, as do the top 4 in the North Group, of course. Hampshire with 3 wins from 7. Now, on average, really, over the last 2 or 3 years, you would say at least 7 wins gets you into the quarterfinals, maybe even 8. So Hampshire certainly need to win 4 of their last 7 group matches. Somerset have only 3 wins from their 7. They'll be looking to win this evening. Somerset have won the last couple of games on this ground between these two sides. Right, we'll go through the 2 teams. I'll go through the Somerset side and you can do Hampshire. Somerset are Tom Banton, Babar Azam, James Hildreth, Tom Abel, Eddie Byram, Rolf van der Merwe, Tom Lannonby, Craig Overton, Tim Grunwald, Jerome Taylor and Max Waller.
And Hampshire, unchanged, Riley Russo, Aaron Donald, James Vince, Sam Northeast, Liam Dawson, James Fuller, Chris Morris, Lewis McManus, Brad Taylor, Chris Wood and Kyle Abbott.
That's Solar Sport. You can get in touch with us this evening. Now, we're interested. We were chatting just before we came on air because the game against Kent here in the T20, when Kent needed 16 off the last over, it was felt in the Kent camp that Hampshire got it wrong because Alex Blake, who hit 2 sixes off the final 3 deliveries to win the game for a ball to spare for his side, hit down the ground and with the wind, because Hampshire usually start from the pavilion end. Funnily enough, tonight, where it is windy, Chris Wood is starting from our commentary in the northern end, and he's bowling the first over, which is a length ball, which hits Tom Banton on the legs, and there's a big shout from some in the crowd, actually, as well as Chris Wood. That didn't even look out to me. I didn't even bother watching.
No, it sort of hit his thigh pad. That was sort of a desperate appeal. I think he's got a habit of picking up a wicket on the first ball, so he sort of expects one now, doesn't he?
Desperate appeal indeed. I mean, I just watched it hit the pad and then I just sort of turned away because I thought, well, I didn't even think that anybody would even bother to shout for that. So anyway, here we are, we're underway. Hampshire lost against Kent at Beckenham, another close game on Sunday. Here's Wood, bowls. Banton works that on the onside for a single. We're underway. Banton, one of the danger men. You talked about players looking forward to watching tonight, Emily. Banton is one of those, and his opening partner on strike now is another.
Yeah, I think both of these 2 men are wickets that Hampshire want to pick up and pick up early. If either of these 2 go, it's actually short boundaries out here today at the Ageas Bowl. They've brought the rope in significantly to our left as we look. We're playing towards the right side of the square as we look at the pavilion, and so it's short on that side. So actually, we need these 2 early from a Hampshire point of view.
So Babar Azam faces Wood, who flicks that away behind square on the leg side to the short boundary side, and Aaron Donald loses his cap as he comes in to do the field. Oh, is that that's Brad Taylor actually, isn't it? Who is that? Gosh, it's a way away.
It's an Aaron Donald.
It is an Aaron Donald. So 2 without loss. Yeah, Azam is averaging 50 in this competition so far, strike rate of 147, and Banton averaging 42, strike rate of 156, so they don't really hang around. And those of you that listen regularly or follow your Hampshire cricket will know that Azam, when we were at Taunton a couple of weeks ago, which Hampshire won, scored 90. This edged off a length, and it's going down towards third man. Chases on. Sam Northeast isn't going to cut that off. It goes up towards the pavilion. It's come off the pad. That's gone quickly.
I was going to say as well, interestingly, no slip in place. Like early in the Hampshire innings, we usually see Liam Dawson in slip to Chris Wood. So it's actually an interesting one, perhaps, that they've changed the tactics here.
Yeah, that's true. There is a couple of men behind square on the offside, but as Emily says, no slip. Here's Wood again, runs away from us in windy conditions here at the Ageas, and that's played late into the ground and to one of those 2 men at backward point. That is Brad Taylor, who's in once more for the injured Mason Crane. He has a side strain, missed that game on Sunday at Beckenham, and it looks like he could be out for a little while. I don't know, we haven't got anything definitive, but it's certainly, he's not coming back anytime soon, is he?
No, it's a real shame for him, as he was certainly hitting his straps, wasn't he, in the 2 games?
Certainly was. Now Wood Bowles flicked away down the leg side. There's a court or appeal for a catch behind, a wide signalled by the umpire. The 2 umpires today are Paul Baldwin and Peter Hartley, the former Yorkshire and Hampshire seamer.
Are we seeing a bit of sun here, Kev? Like, no way did we think this game's on, and here we are. The sun's just peeping out behind the sort of clouds.
Yeah, we're pleased about that, because there does seem as though there's a shower at around about 9 o'clock. We'll keep you posted on that. Here's Wood Bowles. In the air, could be caught at mid-on. Good catch. And he's gone. And that is Banton. Big wicket for Hampshire. 7 for 1 Somerset. And that has been taken by Chris Morris. Good catch.
Fantastic that. He's a tall man and got down low to that. He was sort of a couple of metres or a metre off the ring, and he's had to come in more and catch that low at his feet. So good wicket that. And Chris Wood at the moment just does have that knack of picking up early wickets, and that's exactly what Hampshire want. And a big wicket that of Banton.
Yeah, Banton played really well in that one-day final at Lords in the 50-over competition earlier in the season. Got Somerset away to a really good start. They were never chasing a big total, but Banton made sure that the pace in which the Somerset innings began never really gave Hampshire a sniff. That is a big wicket. The new man out to the crease is James Hildreth, another man that's not shy of a big occasion.
Also in this Somerset lineup, Lewis Gregory not featuring. I spoke to the guys before. He's got a stress fracture in his foot, which actually is probably a big loss for them in their lineup. So Hampshire obviously will be well aware of that, and it's a big loss for Somerset as their captain as well in this format. Tom Abel, the captain today, and James Vince winning the toss, and it was a good toss to win when the weather's about, isn't it?
That's right, for sure, because it looks very much at this stage as though Hampshire will have a shortened time to bat, so that's always good.
Yeah, so Kyle Abbott has ball in hand from the pavilion end as we make way for the second over, as he bowls to Azam. That's length outside the off stump. That's driven lovely, just pure timing through the offside. A man is on the chase. That's very well fielded. Fantastic out there from the skipper, James Vince. They just come back for 2.
It's a short boundary out there, isn't it? He just touched that, did Azam. And that was, a yard away from being 4 runs. Well done, James Vince.
So there was a slip in place, interestingly, for Abbott, but he does come out. Perhaps Vince thinks that was too easy for him to just lean on it and push it through the offside. 9 for 1. Brad Taylor, the addition into the side. He's a fantastic fielder. And he almost sometimes calls himself a fielder as Abbott bowls, and that's length ball turned onto the onside. That's fielded out by James Fuller, just be a single. Azam moves on to 4, 10 for 1, Somerset.
The throw hits the stumps there, that's the reaction from the crowd. Not as big a crowd tonight as we've had here for a couple of games. There was, 10,000 for the Kent game here early on, and the Glamorgan game was just under that, wasn't it? We're considerably down on that, but then it's not surprising, because I think most people during the day would have said, you know what, we'll give this game up tonight, it's not worth it. But at the moment, conditions are probably about as good as they've been for most of the afternoon. And
it's a decent crowding, actually, with respect to the weather. I think we sort of said if we saw the weather forecast, would we come down? Probably not. And I'm amazed, to be honest, they're out there. So to have the people in as Abbott bowls, and that's turned, push into the offside, look for a quick single, and it isn't. That's James Hildreth, the man on strike.
How would you rate Kyle Abbott in this competition so far?
I think he started the competition very well. Then I obviously missed a couple of games, but I don't think he's done badly. I think as a bowler, you're always going to go for a few runs in this tournament, but he does seem to pick up wickets and working well with Chris Wood up front. As Abbott bowls to Hildreth, that's forward defence, that's a very good delivery, full and straight, and played back to him. He's obviously, I think, probably more of a championship bowler. He's more effective there, but I don't think he's done much wrong.
No. Well, he's taken 10 wickets, which is the most for Hampshire in this competition so far, but his economy rate is over 9 and over, and of the regular bowlers, that's the most. Now, I appreciate he bowls in the death and that sort of thing, but he bowls a couple of overs like now as well in the power play, doesn't he?
Abbott to Hildreth again. That's a good delivery. They go for a quick single. If he hits, they're out. Oh, and he misses Fantastic bit of fielding there. That was Brad Taylor in there. Dive to his left. Wow, he wanted that one.
He did, and that's pressure, isn't it? Because, 2 or 3 dot balls there, Hildreth facing. He just went for it, didn't he? And he knew that once Taylor got it in his hand, the ball only had to hit the stumps. What was he, 6 or 7 yards away from the stumps by the time he was throwing it?
Yeah, he was on the ground as well, released it quickly. Good bit of fielding, but needed precision as Abbott, for the final ball, the second over, bowls to Azam. That's turned to backward a point. Riley Russo does the fielding. Good over for Hampshire. 11-4-1 the Somerset score.
Yeah, just 4 runs off it as well from Kyle Abbott. We were saying about Kyle Abbott's bowling, and obviously bowling at the death isn't easy at all. But I guess bowling in the power play isn't easy either, isn't it? Only 2 men outside the 30-yard circle. You've got to bowl to a plan. You've got to make the most of those 2 men that are patrolling the boundary. If you don't sort of speak to your skipper and you're both singing off the same song sheet, then your fielders are in the wrong positions and batsmen know exactly where the gaps are. So it's quite tough, isn't it, bowling in the power play? Oh,
it really is. And I think actually you said he's the leading wicket taker, but the most expensive. There is always those type of bowlers in a side. Like, you don't mind potentially him going for a few more runs as he is that wicket taking option. And I think you've got other bowlers like Liam Dawson, etc., that hold it and go for less runs.
Here's Wood, bowls to Hildreth. Fix that away, down to fine leg for 4.
Yeah, wrong length there, missed his length, slightly too straight. No fine leg back, square and third, so any batsman would sort of punish that length on his hip. Comfortably worked down.
Not the right line, is it, when fine leg is on the 45 on the 30-yard circle. So almost a gift really for Hildreth. Moves on to 5-15 for 1 Somerset in the 3rd over here in predominantly overcast Ageas Bowl, but we can still see some sun. Hildreth pushes that to extra covers, no run there. Dawson's in quickly, underarms to throw at the bowler's end, misses the stumps. Morris backs up. And that sun is disappearing now behind some clouds. You get the feeling that those clouds are not too far away over the horizon.
I still see a little bit of blue sky. I feel like we've got to be optimistic. I didn't think I was playing cricket today at all, and I ended up playing full 40 over game. You did, down in Portsmouth. As down the wicket comes Hildreth, works that nicely into the gap through mid-wicket. Chases on here. They'll pick it up. Does an Aaron Donald, does well. And that's, just a couple of runs? Yep. 2 to Hildreth, takes him on to 7, and it's 17 for 1. Yeah, in the runs again. You've had a good sort of couple of weeks with the bat, haven't you? Yeah, no, just enjoying it, spending some time in the middle and just playing lots of cricket. And so, yeah, it's been good fun playing for a few different sides. So just enjoying it. Lots of 30s and 40s at the moment for Emily Windsor. Here comes Wood. Windmill action, and misses as it goes through to Lewis McManus. He'll just trying to cut that away on the offside, just bounced a bit. Yeah, I think Chris Wood as well has been impressive for me this year. We were talking about Kyle Abbott earlier. I think he's done a fantastic job up top. He's obviously a left armer, so adds that bit of variability to the attack, but he's just hit good lines the majority of this competition. Yeah, he's been fairly economical. Average, his economy rate is only 6.5. Down the wicket comes Hildreth, works that away hard, square of the wicket along the ground, straight to Donald on the boundary. 8 for Hildreth now, 18 for 1. 8 wickets Chris Wood has Mason Crane, of course not playing at the moment now because of his side strain. So, but the economy rate of 6.5 is also impressive, because Chris Wood's a bit like Kyle Abbott, don't they? They tend to bowl the overs at the front and overs at the end, which, depending on the game really, they're generally the hardest times to bowl. It's Azam, who hasn't faced much of the strike, faces Wood. He's on the back foot and just guides that straight to point. They want a single, it's gone too far. In fact, it's gone too quickly to the fielder. Throw comes in and hits Hildreth on the back. That's the end of the over. 3 overs gone, 18 for 1 Somerset. Yeah, very tack and field there by Hampshire as well. I was just looking at sort of in the ring. They've got an in-out field within the ring, which is a good tactic because it cuts off those angles. So Brad Taylor at point was just a few off the ring, and then James Fuller at sort of just a cover, but just in front of square was sitting right on the ring. So it's actually really hard to pierce those fields. I like that field as well. It's almost as if some thought has gone into that, some planning. So it'll be a change of bowling from the pavilion end. Chris Morris will bowl his first over of the game today. Score 18 for 1 after 3 overs. In comes Morris then to James Hildreth, bowls, and that's driven through the offside. Liam Dawson gets a hand to it, a good hand, as he timed that well. They come back for a couple.
Say 4, I think, just about.
Yeah, Liam Dawson's a fantastic fit. He is that three-dimensional cricketer, isn't he? He's that man you want in any Hampshire side, whatever format.
Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he? Done well with the bat, done well with the ball. Just all round. Jolly good cricketer.
God, you went posh then, Kev. Don't do that to me ever again. Morris to Hildreth, that's turned into the onside. Just hit that down at his feet, so they come through for a single. 21 for 1. Hildreth moves on to 11.
We were trying to work out, or the guys from BBC Somerset were trying to work out if this is a new wicket. I think when we looked at the square a week or two ago, we couldn't really see a new wicket. It's difficult, of course, when a pitch is cut, because, of course, the grass is... Well, it hardly looks any grass from this distance. It's difficult to know. I think all these wickets have been used on the square, unless you go right to the end. So I think this will have been used somewhere along the line.
Morris to Azam. He's tried to swing that through the offside, but doesn't make contact.
Good pace. This wicket was under cover till about 3:30, 4:45, maybe even 4 o'clock actually this afternoon. There was a heavy shower just before they took the covers off, so I don't know. Some of these balls are going through a bit, aren't they, and bouncing a bit.
Yeah, and I think we got to reflect the score's 21 for 1, but if we reflect back to the game that was played here against Glamorgan, as Morris bowls, and that's turned into the onside. There's a man out there and he can't get there. That is a fantastic cricket shot by Azam. He's got all of that and he's cleared the boundary flat. That's a flat 6. What a shot.
He's only flicked that away as well. It was short of a length and it was turned with a vertical bat. It wasn't even horizontal.
I can't understand how he's hit that so well. Obviously Morris has pace on the ball, but to hit that flat over Fuller's head, and Fuller was right on the rope there, tall bloke, and it's just gone straight over. Wow.
It's a 60-yard boundary there. Just about, anyway. No more than 60, maybe 58, 50, around that time.
Pure timing. As Morris into Azam, that's turned at his feet, but Riley Russo does well, coming in to prevent the single.
It's one of those where you replay that in your head and you think, yeah, wow. The timing, you almost can't explain just how good a piece of timing that was.
Can you just tell me what the groundsman's just given James Fuller there?
I don't know.
He put something in his hand, maybe paracetamol. I don't know. That's an odd one. There's Morris into Azam. That's driven down the ground. They come through for a quick single. James Vince round. Throws to the keeper's end, but they make it comfortably. Good work from Lewis McManus. Score 28 for 1 as the groundsman's actually coming on the pitch and giving something to the umpire now. So 28 for 1, that's 4 overs, 28 for 1, 4 overs gone, and Azam 11 not out, Hildreth 11 not out.
I don't know if it's some more bails or, difficult to tell. Whatever it is, it's something small or plural, some small things, I don't know. 10 runs off that over. Great shot there from Babar Azam. Certainly the shot of the night so far, although of course we're in the early stages of this T20 game, Hampshire against Somerset. Hampshire won the toss and elected to bowl first. We're expecting Hampshire's chase to be a shorter innings, hopefully not because they're bowled out, in terms of the number of overs that they'll face, because we're expecting some rain a little bit later. It's getting a little darker as Abbott comes in and bowls. Length ball hit over mid-on, and that's going to be 4 runs. Length delivery. Azam hitting through it. Not quite as well timed as the over before. It went over square leg, but it went high over Morris's head. He
looks dangerous, doesn't he? Azam striking the ball nicely, playing with confidence. He's, as Kev said earlier, he's averaging around 50 in this competition, so he's sure having a good time of it, and you can tell that by how he's striking the ball at the moment. Yeah,
he's picked up the length nicely, hasn't he, really? I don't think we're too far from a shower of rain here, as Abbott runs away from us and bowls to Azam. Pulls that away through mid-wicket, along the ground for 4.
Wow. You can just see a man in form when yes, potentially that was slightly too short, but you punish it like that, and power and class, that's just raced away. No one's stopping that. He's found the gap and gone straight over the rope. So dangerous player here.
Yeah, tough start for Abbott in his second over here. First 2 balls have gone for 4. Somerset move on to 36 for 1, and we're in the 5th over. Abbott runs away from us again. Mid on and mid off are still up. Slightly shorter bounce that's guided to backward point. It's thrown towards the stumps by Brad Taylor. Goes to Russo, who's backing up. 1 run.
Yeah, again, Abbott was slightly more economical in that first over, than he's just been punished in this second one. And to be honest, he hasn't done a lot wrong. And I think quite a lot of players, and particularly bowlers, talk about it being a batter's game now. The margin for error for bowlers, especially when you're bowling at these top order players, is so small.
It is.
At times I sort of think this is why I don't bowl.
It's a nightmare. Hildreth comes down the wicket and hits it to mid on. There's no run there. Throw comes in for Morris, misses at the bowler's end. I think Azam had turned quickly enough to get his bat behind the line, but it is getting noticeably darker here, and I'm looking just slightly to our left over the hill, about 10 or 11 o'clock from where we're viewing, and that looks where the clouds are coming from, and I think there's some rain there, Eamon.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I hate sort of these rain affected games, because as players, it's how do you go about playing the game? Do you play for the rain that may not come?
Now it's cut away in the air, caught at backward point. Brad Taylor holding on to that. Hit it well, did Hildreth. Straight to Brad Taylor, who takes the catch above his head. He goes for 11. Somerset lose their second wicket with a score on 37.
Yeah, good catch that from Taylor. Also good field placements. We said earlier, Brad Taylor prides himself on his fielding, and I think a lot of his teammates too. That was hit hard and straight to him, and it was short and wide and deserved to go to the boundary. So for that to be hit that hard, and Abbott again picking up a breakthrough, just as a partnership was building, but obviously not the danger man. Azam still at the crease, and I think that's a big wicket, but 2 wickets on the board for Hampshire.
Yeah, 90 odd not out, didn't he, Azam made in the Hampshire victory up at Taunton 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he looks in great form here, but are we going to miss some of that rain? We actually might miss a little bit of that. We'll have to wait and see. The new batsman for Somerset is the captain, Tom Abel, and Abbott picks up wicket number 11 of this T20 Blast 2019 campaign.
He's a good player as well for Somerset to come to the crease at this point. He's not sort of that power batsman, but actually when Somerset have lost a couple of quick wickets, there's still 1.1 overs left in this power play. To have someone that can just hold it now, they don't want to lose another wicket.
That's right. Here's Abbott, runs away from us, bowls to Abel. Abel just guides that past Brad Taylor's left hand down towards third man. He's off the mark straight away. 38 for 2 here. Somerset. Abel's actually averaging 32 in this year's competition, which is pretty steady.
What's his strike rate out of interest?
Well, I'll be honest, his strike rate is actually pretty good, Ems. It's 170.
Oh, wow.
Which actually does surprise me.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I think he's that clever player, though. We talk about sort of in the previous games about those type of players in our batting lineup. Liam Dawson, Sam Northeast. I don't think, yes, he's striking at 170, but he's just clever, and you can tell by the way he just played that first shot. All he's done is just guided it down to third man. He's looking for 2s, and he'll be clever probably at hitting pockets rather than hitting powerfully, and that doesn't mean he won't score boundaries, and there's no doubt he will.
Yeah.
There's Morris to bowl the final over the power play. Bowls length ball, and that's pushed back to him. That's well bowled by Chris Morris.
Yeah, good start from him. No, I think you're right. I think Abel's like a northeast, isn't he, in lots of ways, isn't he? A northeast is not in great form in this competition, but
or Liam Dawson, or
Liam Dawson, yeah, guys that don't immediately catch the eye with their stroke play, but are probably as effective, if not more, than some of the stroke makers.
Certainly rain to our left there.
Over
Kevin.
Portsmouth.
As Morris bowls to Abel, and that's turned again down to third man. Runs the first one hard, but won't be 2. Chris Wood down there does the fielding.
Just looking at the crowd, despite the poor forecast, which has been mentioned for a few days for this Friday, I would say 3,500, 4,000 maybe.
And the other thing we got to look at here is the groundsman. It looks like it's raining, starting to drizzle here at the Ageas Bowl.
Yeah.
Look to the floodlights at our left as Morris bowls, and that's turned into the onside. They're running fast, they're looking for a quick single as it is raining, and he slips over. That never helps the matter, does it? When a batter slips over, and it looks like, yep, they're going off. So 44-2, there is some rain, and the batters are running off pretty sharply as if they haven't seen English rain before. 40-2 then, here at the Ageas Bowl.
I was going to say, if you're ever in doubt whether to stay on very quickly, if you see a batter slip over, you think, no, there's no danger of us staying. That's actually quite heavy rain. Whether that's around for a while or not, I don't know. You can probably see a little bit more to your left than I can. It doesn't look great, if I'm honest.
No, it really doesn't. But to be honest, what we've seen today is they're isolated showers. So fingers crossed the covers get on quickly. As the groundsmen do their work, I bet the groundsmen must hate days like this.
Well, I suppose depending on what weather app you've got, and mine suggests actually there's not any rain for at least another hour or so. So I'll ditch that app and use another one somewhere along the line. I think we're going to have a bit of a break here for a while. So I think we'll just quickly remind you the state of play, and then I think Emily, we might take a bit of a break because I've got a feeling that it's still sweeping in, isn't it, from left to right. That's the hover cover you can hear in the background, and that's got the rollout covers either side. My guess is that the hover cover will come onto the square or onto the pitch, and then the rollout covers will come on as well, because I don't think they'll want this pitch to get too greasy, or the surrounds. So I don't know, is that brightening a fraction?
Yeah, I think it is. I still think it's to our left. It looks far worse, but actually the sky's a bit brighter as we stand, and there have been quite isolated showers that sort of you either get them or you don't. There's some brave crowd members as well still sat there in the stands just with brollies up, and the rest sort of run quickly to under the Shane Warne stand and the Colin Ingleby Mackenzie stand. But the shower just seems to be lightening up. It's certainly brighter to our right. The sun's
isn't it?
Creeping through the clouds.
We need to be further south actually, and then we'd be fine, wouldn't we? Somewhere in Southampton we might have continued this game. The hover cover is just staying on the square, and no rollout covers at the moment. The wind doesn't help, of course. You can probably hear that in the background. Oh my God, what's that disappearing? Some box on top of our equipment has just disappeared. That's not the end of the world. But there is some heavy gusts of wind, and actually the rain is slightly lighter, but it is still raining.
So 40-2 Somerset, 5.3 overs gone. The 2 wickets to fall was Tom Banton. Caught Morris at mid-on, bowled Chris Woody, just got the 1 run. James Hildreth, the other man to go, caught Brad Taylor at backward point, fantastic catch over his head, bowled Abbott for 11.
I think we might just stick around for a minute or two, because I'm looking up towards one of the floodlights and I can't see too much rain, if any.
And the groundsmen as well haven't pulled out the stuff to the right to cover the square. Perhaps we could talk about the Southern Vipers' start to the season while we have a little break.
Go on then.
Fantastic to see. 2 wins out of 2. The first game was quite a convincing win actually against Lancashire Thunder, and then it was slightly tighter against Loughborough Lightning, but they get over the line, and I think that's good to see in the group stage. The group stage is 10 games, so play each team home and away, so it's still early doors, but I think to come back as they have from last year to 2 wins out of 2, it's good for them.
What's been good about the Vipers this year?
Well, I played in a couple of warm-up games with them, and I straight away came away, and I think I said to you, I think they're going to do well this year. There just seems to be a really good feel amongst them, like sort of the atmosphere between the group is good, and it's not always easy because these players actually play against each other, and then they come together a week before the competition, and the internationals join them literally as the competition start. So actually to see that team cohesion, how they're working together, is, I think, I said was a good sign, and I think they've got a good all-round squad actually, and our top 4 has to be the best top 4 in the Kia Super League on paper. You've got Tammy Beaumont, Danny Wyatt, Susie Bates and Stefani Taylor. There you've got some of the best players in the world in T20 cricket in your top order. So, and where there's 4 of them, you bank on at least one of them to fire every game, and I think that's happened so far. Danny Wyatt scored some runs, which is good. Stefani Taylor's contributed, and Tammy did in the first game. So I think I honestly think they're going to do very well this year.
Yeah. So win against Lancashire Thunder up at Liverpool. It was a closer game, wasn't it, against Loughborough Lightning?
Yeah, it was. They lost. So Danny Wyatt started well with Susie Bates, and they sort of lost wickets quickly. Stefani Taylor then stuck about as Danny Wyatt got out, and then in the end it actually came to I think Paige Schofield hit a 6, then a 4, when it looked like Loughborough all of a sudden on top, and then 2 balls just switched it back towards the back end. And it's good to see actually some of the young English players finishing well at the end, and our other overseas, Amanda Wellington from Australia, and the Adelaide Strikers hit a reverse sweep that went for 4 in the last over, which meant they pretty much they won that game. So it's actually, I think it's good to see, because as I said, we have such a strong top 4 that there's a danger of quite a lot of the games you rely on those top 4. So to see the middle order, and well, to be honest, we don't really have much of a lower order, to see that middle order come in and win and get some Vipers over the line, I'm sure they'll be like buzzing from that.
Yeah. The tractor's coming on with the rope, so there'll be rope in the outfield here, which basically means a long piece of rope just going round, taking the surface water off the blades of grass, and then I would think we'll be back underway, because it is slightly brighter. The rain has stopped, which is good news. Just a reminder here, we've had 5.5 overs of play, 5.3 overs, of which Somerset have moved to 40 for 2, Banton out for 1, Hildreth out for 11, wicket for Chris Wood and a wicket for Kyle Abbott. But the dangerous Baba Azam, the Pakistan World Cup player, who's 21 not out off 13, and he's already flicked a 6 away off Chris Morris, which wow, that just pinged off the bat and went to the long boundary side away to our left. Over the boundary. The umpires are starting to walk out. Looks like the covers are coming off. Just one final thought about the Vipers. They're in action here, aren't they, on Sunday?
Yes, they are. I can't think off the top of my head who they're playing, but certainly I think it would be good for the girls to get support behind them. First home game of the season. They've played both away, so we'll certainly be looking for a big crowd in.
You can't make it, you're playing, aren't you? So you can't watch.
Yeah, it's actually kind of annoying that they're played on the Sunday, because that's when women's cricket or women's club cricket's played, so they sort of miss a lot of audience as such. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of youngsters here. There's so much girls cricket going on around down the south, so actually I have no doubt there'll be a good crowd in, especially where they're off to a winning start. I think they're sure in to showcase some good cricket.
Yeah. Let's hope so. So if you're at a loss, or you're not quite sure where to go and watch some cricket, make sure you turn up here on Sunday. Southern Vipers in action. Nick at Solent Sports said had blue skies here in Bournemouth for a while. I have to say, looking away to our right over the New Forest towards Bournemouth, it does actually look like where whatever sunshine there is actually is shining in that area. We can see it from here. There are other games going on this evening in this competition. I can bring you a couple of scores in a moment. Looks like Hampshire team are going to come back out here, so that's good news. The rope is still going round the outfield as I speak. You can probably hear the engine, and you can also hear the engine starting now for the hover cover. The other South Group games going on this evening. Big win for Middlesex against Surrey again last night. They did the double over Surrey in the Southern Group. Essex against Glamorgan, problems there with rain. That's up actually along in Cardiff. Essex 30 for 1 in the 4th over. It looks like they've had a very similar situation with the rain as we have had here. The hover cover's just making its way off to our left towards the tunnel area. I think that, there's Gloucestershire Surrey as well in the T20 Blast. That's been played at the Oval. Surrey in action again tonight, as they were last night. Gloucestershire 114 for 3 in the 15th over there against Surrey. Surrey again in this competition, like most of the other competitions they've been involved with this year, just not performing. It's just not happening for them this year. It's
amazing as well, as you always see sort of Surrey as that so successful side, and I think actually probably losing Jason Roy for probably one of the first times in this competition probably has a big impact at the top of the order. But they've also had a few injuries, haven't they? But yeah, they actually I don't think have a bad side in this competition. They got a decent bowling attack. Tom Curran in there, Sam Curran for a few of the games. So But as we know, like last year, Hampshire had a fantastic side on paper and then just couldn't win a game.
Absolutely incredible, really. We're waiting for the Somerset batsmen. The Hampshire team have been out there and in their fielding positions for a couple of minutes. It's just the 2 Somerset batsmen that we are waiting for. Just a reminder then, 40 for 2, halfway through the 6th over. The 3 more balls left of this power play. 6 overs, of course, where only 2 fielders are allowed outside the 30-yard circle, and then you can have up to 5. I have to think about that for a minute. It is 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just as they come out again, I think it's got slightly more overcast. But anyway, we'll wait and see. But we could have had an over by now, waiting for these Somerset batsmen. I think I don't know who was at fault there. I think it was Abel, actually. I think they were waiting for. I think Mazam was ready. Chris Morris was just about to run in and got stopped. So we're going to have even more seconds waiting. So here we go.
So in comes Chris Morris to Abel, and that's a length ball. Turned down to third man again. Potentially looks for 2, but it would just be a single. Chris Wood in well there from the boundary, taken by Lewis McManus. He moves on to 3, 41 for 2.
Now, I'm not very good with rules, but I think even that short break, we're going to be staying with 20 overs per side at the moment, aren't we? So,
isn't there a half-hour sort
something like that? Yeah.
Lenient.
That break, amazingly, was only 11 minutes.
Precisely as well. I like that, Kev.
Thank you.
Morris to Azam. That's turned down to third man. That raced off his bat. How can you time a guy down to third man so well? It's just a single. He moves on to 22.
Sign of a batsman in form.
Certainly is. 42 for 2 Somerset. One ball remains of this Somerset power play.
There was one other group game that I missed, actually. Middlesex are 39 for 4 in the 9th over against Sussex. That's at Hove.
Crowd's just starting to come back from under the big stands as Morris bowls. He's gone for a ramp and it's taken by McManus. They appeal. It's sort of a crowd appeal, actually, I think, more than anything. And that is 6 overs gone. 42 for 2 Somerset.
Well, it's about par, isn't it, ish? 42 for 2. I think, to be fair with the conditions, I think the odd ball has bounced a little bit. The odd ball's gone through a bit, just with these overcast conditions. Maybe ball just behaving from time to time slightly different. 42 for 2 is pretty average, but maybe in these conditions it might be a half decent one. And
also at this ground, I think, before we go back to that Glamorgan game, the last game here, it was 120 played, 120 odd played 80 odd, so actually could maybe not a bad power play.
Do you think in a different way this wicket is... I mean, that wasn't a great wicket, was it, the one against Glamorgan? It was a used wicket and the ball just didn't really have any pace on it at all once it had bounced. Do you think in a different way with these conditions this wicket is as difficult?
Oh,
it's a tough one, isn't it? Dawson bowls and comes left arm round to Azam, who pushes that out on the onside for a single. 43 for 2.
Seems like there's more pace in it from what we've seen from Morris and Abbott, actually, so I would expect a par score to be slightly more, but then you sort of add the conditions to things. But yeah, and I think as well with Duckworth Lewis, when you're batting first, you've got to get a big total on the board. You have.
Tom Abel facing Dawson. Abel drives nicely in the gap in the covers, only out to Brad Taylor, who's deep, away to our left. 45, I think that'll be, or is it 44? 44 the scoreboard is showing. 44 for 2 here. Somerset. I mean, that shot that Babar Azam hit over the leg side, you wouldn't have seen that shot against Glamorgan here. You wouldn't have been able to have the pace on the ball to do that, that's for sure. That's pushed to extra cover, well fielded by James Vince. Good anticipation, moving smartly to his left. Babar Azam on 23 not out, the striker.
Yeah, the ball before as well, from what Abel, you can see he's just trying to open the face to hit those twos, hit those gaps. He wasn't successful that time, but you can see what he's trying to do.
Dawson again then to Abel, and that's to Azam. Pushes that on the onside. They have to run quickly here, they do. Slight slip from the fielder there. Is that Chris Morris at mid-wicket?
I think so.
Yeah. Just curses himself there a little bit. Maybe needs longer studs. 45 for 2. Not too long though. It's not good cricketers having too long studs. Too long studs.
Especially not for football warm-up before the game.
Yeah, sort of little rake in the shins before the games with your studs. On the back foot there, very quickly was Abel. hits it out to Brad Taylor at deep point, gets it in quickly, does well. One bounce through to Lewis McManus, keeps it down to a single, 46 for 2.
Very quick across the ground, isn't he, Brad Taylor? Because Abel did well there, hitting that quite far to his left there on the cover, and he gets to the ball quickly, and when the ball's in hand, they don't then tend to take on that second.
He's quick. It's a little paddle sweep shot there. It's gone very fine. Bit of a chase here for Chris Wood, coming off the deep backward square leg boundary. Throws it in, they have to hurry here. Lewis McManus takes the bails off.
Better throw there, and I think he may have been gone. And that would have been the danger man as well, Azam. He's 26 not out, but that's 7 overs gone, 48 for 2.
Now, I'm actually wondering if Lewis McManus actually took the bails off there, because nobody's moved to the stumps to put them back on. I got a text earlier from Jo on the ground. She said that actually we were saying what was the umpires being given by the ground staff. She seems to think that there were heavier bails because of the wind.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of actual trouble recently with bails and cricket, isn't there? That one in the Test match, Joe Root hit the top of his off stump and the bail didn't dislodge.
It's happened more times this year, and I think for the last 50 years or something ridiculous. World Cup, it was happening quite a bit, wasn't it?
So the off spinner, Brad Taylor, into the attack to bowl to Abel. He's driven that up to long on. Again, run to first on hard, but won't be singles. There's a man out there, and Aaron Donald there at long on.
Taylor was really impressive at Beckenham, 1 for 22 from his 4 overs, bowled really well. Just looks as though he's back to his confident best. Bowled really well there, very intelligently as well.
So no fine leg in place. Taylor bowls to Azam, and that's a sort of a quicker delivery, and he does turn it down to that gap. James Fuller comes round, they come back for 2. He moves on to 28. That's Somerset's 50 as well.
He seems to have a shot for every ball, doesn't he, Azam, at the moment?
He does, as Taylor approaches from the pavilion end to Azam. That's shorter of a length, and it's pulled. Splits the 2 fielders, but I think Donald, is that Donald at mid-wicket? Yes, it is Donald at mid-wicket, does well coming round. Who's at long on? Can you see who's at long on?
I have to get my binoculars.
I think it might be Morris.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
As Taylor bowls and stops, doesn't deliver the ball, picks up some dust in his hands.
Can't be too much dust out there with his rain.
In comes Taylor then to Abel. He swept that away hard onto the onside. That may split the 2.
Oh, no.
And Fuller stops. He should have gone for that really and put a dive in, and he stopped because I think he thought Donald was going for it, and they sort of both stopped, and it splits them, and it's 4 runs.
Oh my, that's a horrible mistake, isn't there? No communication between those two whatsoever. I think it was always going to be tough for either one of those to cut it off, but the minute one of them stopped, that was it.
Yeah, and they sort of both stopped at the same time, didn't they? So 56 for 2 then. Abel's moved on to 10.
Good job that wasn't off Liam Dawson's bowling. I don't think he'd have been very happy.
So cover, long off, long on, mid-wicket, and deep backward square out on the rope as Taylor bowls. Swept again, that's hit him on the pad, they appeal. Not out, that must have hit him outside off stump.
Just, I think. You can see the live pictures, by the way. If you go to the Hampshire Cricket website, follow the links to the live stream, you'll be able to watch the live pictures and our commentary in sync.
So no fielder in the ring on the leg side other than a fine leg as Brad Taylor bowls, advances, plays up to long on. They come for a quick single, and that's the end of the 8th over, and the score is 57 for 2.
Well, it's not a bad start from Somerset here. Ball, as I was saying earlier, just probably going through a little bit more in these conditions, bouncing a little bit more from time to time. I think Somerset will be fairly happy with the situation that they are in. We're expecting Hampshire not really to have to bat the whole of their 20 overs if the rain that's coming in later comes in as planned. But as I look towards my left and just slightly sort of straight, it doesn't look too bad actually. I think we're going to get a fair chunk of play in here.
Yeah, I think it could be one of those nights, Kev. It won't be until potentially that shower that is on the radar at 9 comes in, could potentially wash out the game. If it's short, sharp showers like that, they're not in danger of making the pitch unplayable.
Liam Dawson comes in then and bowls. It's driven in the air over extra cover. Lovely shot there from Tom Abel. That's going all the way. That's beaten Fuller, and he's kept going all the time this time. But, it was always a few yards from his grasp. Lovely shot there from Tom Abel. Just opened the face, opened his body out as well. Deliberately guided that over extra cover. Abel moves on to 15. Azam, the non-striker, has 29. Somerset 61 for 2. Dawson in his second over here. None for 10. 7 balls he's bowled. That ball's got wet. As he's got the umpire to give him a towel and he's dried it. That's not going to help. It's not going to help any of the bowlers.
But it does make the ball softer as well.
Well, that's true. That's pulled away hard through mid-wicket. Well fielded by Riley Russo. In front of the crowd to our right. Abel picks up a single, moves on to 16. 62 for 2 in the 9th. Break of play earlier. But we're still on course. Should we get a full game in? We haven't lost enough time yet that overs have been taken off. Azam just takes his time while he waits for Dawson to again towel the ball down. Comes in again, Dawson. Bowls to Azam. Comes down the wicket and drives hard up to mid-on. That's gone along the ground and that's going to get the ball even wetter this time. Fielding just to our right is Anarin Donald. Throws it on the full to Lewis McManus.
I was going to say, do you think it favours the batting side more having a wet ball or the bowling side?
I think they're both at a disadvantage, don't you? Because the ball will get a bit big as well, won't it?
Yeah.
That's
so big
not
in the
great.
hand, but
Yeah.
it's actually when the white ball gets soft, you sometimes sort of plink it to the sweepers as it doesn't come off the bat as nice.
That's right. I think that's the theory, as that's driven out hard to Brad Taylor. Picks it up quickly and throws it in quickly. Does well, keeps it down to a single. And it's 64 for 2 here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, the white and the red balls, but especially the white, does seem to just feel horrible in your hand once it gets wet, isn't it? And you lose some of that white sheen off it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like bowling with a cloth, sort of a screwed up cloth. Here comes Dawson again then, bowls to Azam. Hits that, or tries to hit it wide on the leg side over mid-wicket. Gets a thick inside edge, well fielded Riley Russo, a backward square leg running smartly to his right. One bounce into Lewis McManus. He went for the big hit there, Azam, didn't really get hold of it. Moves on to 32.
I like fielding when it's a slight damp there. As you see what Riley Russo did, you sort of, when you go for a slide, you sort of keep going.
You like that?
When it's dry, it sort of hurts, doesn't it? And you get stuck, whereas he's got that extra little skid out on the rope.
Dawson to Azam once more. Azam on the back foot and cuts that hard, but he's only found Brad Taylor once more out at deep cover. 67 for 2. That's the end of Dawson's over. The end of the 9th over. So one more over and then we're halfway through the Somerset innings. Just the 2 wickets that have fallen. Tom Banton for 1, James Hildreth for 11, a wicket for Chris Wood, a wicket for Kyle Abbott.
I just feel like at the moment Azam is, we've said, the danger man, and he just seems to be hitting the ball where he wants to, really, and timing it well. Yes, he hit the sweeper there at Brad Taylor, but did he hit that hard out to the cover? He's just timing the ball nicely, and he certainly looks an international class batsman.
Didn't. Had a great World Cup. We mentioned it when we were at Taunton. Averaged over 60 in the World Cup for Pakistan. 90 in the first game between these two sides up at Taunton, which Hampshire won. And he's looking good again here tonight. 33 off 23 deliveries for Azam.
Brad Taylor still got the ball in hand. His hair looks very blonde tonight. As Taylor bowls to Azam, that's played nicely. He's just timed that down to third man, and that will just tickle over the boundary down there. He moves to 37 now, 71 for 2.
A little bit of width there from Brad Taylor. I don't know if that was meant or whether the ball just slipped out of his hand a little bit. He was really disappointed when that ball went off the bat and was making its way down to third man. I just watched Taylor and he turned away in disgust.
I think with this field you have to bowl straight. They've got 3 men out and a fine leg, and if you give any width, you've got point and third man in the circle. So I think he's got to be looking to bowl off stump line here. As Taylor bowls, that's wide outside the off stump again. That's driven hard. Riley Russo does well. Oh no, he doesn't. He gets a good hand, and in the end it trickles over the rope. But that was nearly a fantastic stop. If he had got that, it would have been brilliant. But again, width from Brad Taylor. Azam moves on to 41 off 25 delivery, 75 for 2.
Yeah, I can't believe that Vince is telling him to bowl wide outside off stump. I think you're right. It has to be straighter, and it might just be that the ball is just a little bit difficult to keep a grip of at the moment. He's going to change his line of attack. He's coming round the wicket. The field stays the same.
So, round the wicket then comes Brad Taylor to Azam. Bowls. Again, that's outside the off stump and driven hard. But it finds Riley Russo this time. So it's just a single out there. He moves on to 42, 76 for 2, Somerset.
That's interesting. That's all 3 balls, isn't it, that are well outside off stump. I mean, it has to be deliberate, surely.
Yeah, I think that a couple of them have potentially been slightly too wide. As Taylor bowls, he advances and plays out to long off. Should just be a single. Chris Wood comes round there, fields well at long off. He moves on to 18, Tom Abel, 77 for 2.
Yeah, it has to be off stump, doesn't it, really? It's there's a deep mid-on, deep mid-wicket, deep backwards square leg. Batsman will do well to hit across that if it's off stump.
Taylor to Azam, straighter this time and turn into the onside. They look for 2 here. They are coming back for the second, and that's well run. That's good placement by him. He hasn't hit it too hard, has Azam. And the man at mid-wicket was right on the rope, so he had to come in quickly. That's
almost deliberate, isn't it, really? Azam absolutely took off. The minute he hit it, he took off. He was going for 2 no matter what. They've discussed that before they've started batting. They said, look, this is a ground for 2s.
Taylor round the wicket to Azam, again turned into the onside. This one time hit hard up to long off. They pick up a single. That's the final ball of the over, so Azam does keep the strike. He moves to 45, 80 for 2 then, 10 overs gone.
Just got a bit of momentum now, haven't they, Somerset? Since losing that first wicket of Banton's, Hildreth and Azam put on 36. And now Abel is giving Azam good support here. Abel is 18, but Babar Azam again just looks a dangerous player, doesn't he? He bats the full 20. You know, he's going to get upwards of 90 odd again here.
And I also think as well, he sort of looks like he has another gear in him, if that makes sense. He's just playing comfortably at the moment, knocking the ball about, playing clever shots. He's not trying to whack the ball out the park, and he's just timing the ball well. So actually, if he's here in sort of the last 5 overs, you will feel like he'll go up a gear and could be seeing some fireworks. Those in the crowd to our right, get the safety helmets on.
Now this is an interesting move because Dawson's off and Fuller is on. Now Fuller only gets used really when Hampshire feel they, I don't know, just turn to something different. He bowls and it's driven out into the covers. Brad Taylor does the fielding. Azam picks up a single, moves on to 46, 81 for 2. This is only Fuller's 4th over of the tournament. He's played every game, but he's only been used really, isn't he, when Vince feels he just needs something different other than his main bowlers.
And potentially as well, they could look at this wicket and think it's more of a pace-on type of wicket. It doesn't seem as slow as the one we talked about on Friday, so potentially looking to use more seamers overs.
Able to face Fuller, hits it high over extra cover. That's a lovely shot, and that is 6, I think, is it? I just lost this. It is, yeah. I just lost the last couple of yards of the ball. That was a super shot there. Again, Abel just opened his face to the bat. That's 50-run partnership between these two as well. That's come off just 33 deliveries.
Surely that has to be the hardest shot in the game to hit for 6, just over extra cover like that. And that's probably one of the longest boundaries actually to hit and clear it as he's facing that end.
And another example of how not to try and hit a ball too hard, but just make sure the ball hits the middle of the bat. That was a beautiful shot. Seriously well timed. Here's Fuller. It's 87 for 2. Fuller comes in and bowls to Abel. Abel's played the same shot, but along the ground this time, and it's gone for 4. He has that shot over extra cover at the moment, which is going really well for him. And Fuller maybe just guilty of bowling slightly further up towards the batsman. I'm trying to not say Fuller. But I think Abel has just played it beautifully.
I agree, but also he's probably very wary that he doesn't want to drop one short because it is a short boundary out there to his right. So yes, he is bowling it full, probably slightly too full, as you said. But again, we're talking about the small mistakes that bowlers make.
Good over for Somerset so far, 91 for 2. Fuller again bowls to Abel and he's beaten outside the off stump, goes through to McManus. He was trying to play that very far. I don't know. That's a length ball straight, and somehow Abel was trying to work that down to third man. I'm not surprised he missed it, but he played that so late he's missed it. And you're right, how has that missed the stumps? And that's an example of the ball sort of going through a little bit more. I mean, some of the shots we've seen tonight, and 2 of them from Abel, that one over extra cover for 6, that wasn't the sort of wicket that you could have done that against Glamorgan here last Friday. Fuller bowls, and he's playing a missing outside the off stump again, slightly short of a length. 2 dot balls there from Fuller, dragging it back. He's been averaging 12 runs and over in his 3 overs so far in this tournament, and he's gone for 11 and 5 balls have gone. So he's keeping up his average.
Yeah, I think, again, he's that type of bowler probably that will always be slightly more expensive but could get you that breakthrough. He's, as you said, he hasn't bowled much in this competition, but Vince sort of turns to him when he wants something different.
He's just dragged his leg back, and he's done it again as that's worked down to third man. They shouldn't get any more than a single, and that is 1 run. 2 of the 12th men are coming on for Somerset. In fact, 3 of them are. In fact, no, 2 12th men for Somerset and 1 for Hampshire. There's a lot going on there. It's almost the end of one of those plays in American football where everybody sort of runs on. Feels a bit like that.
If I can remember back in Somerset when Azam was batting, he always seemed to. He was busy, wasn't he? He had a drink, run on, new gloves every over. And
yes, he did.
I actually saw him ask James Vince while he was at the non-strikers end as like something, and I'm guessing it because he sort of walked to him, and I'm guessing it was that, because sometimes in a T20, especially when the weather's about, you don't want these small stoppages in play.
That's true, actually. Yeah, he's a 12th man's nightmare.
So Liam Dawson back into the attack for Hampshire as it's starting to look a little bit grey overhead here at the Ageas Bowl. He'll be bowling to Tom Abel as he speaks to James Vince, getting this field set, and he does have the same field as Brad Taylor did, so 3 men out on the rope on the leg side, short fine leg, long off and cover on the rope, then you've got an extra cover, backward point, and third man in the circle as Dawson bowls, and that's cut down to cover. Riley Russo out there does the fielding. 1 bounce into Lewis McManus. He moves on to 30 off 21 deliveries, so he's playing a fantastic knock there as well, supporting Azam.
Yeah, good partnership between these 2, just over 50 runs, scoring well here at the moment, putting Hampshire under pressure.
93 for 2 Somerset. Floodlights are starting to take effect as it is getting greyer as Dawson bowls, and that's pushed up to long off. They may look for 2 here, Abel. He says no. Chris Wood does well. Come round. 1 bounce into Lewis McManus again.
Got a tweet here from Matt Clean. We mentioned the Vipers playing here on Sunday. Matt also says at Solent Sport there will be a game of blind cricket taking place on the nursery ground on Sunday as the Hampshire Visually Impaired Cricket Club take on Surrey.
Have you ever played blind cricket? We played like against them, and oh my god, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. As Liam Dawson bowls, he's gone for a switch hit, and that is a fantastic shot. 1 bounce 4. Wow, he's just changed to a left-handed stance there, Tom Abel, and just helped it over backward point and third man. Fantastic shot that.
It was a good shot. Short boundary side, but he did get hold of it. So there's a double bill of cricket here. So if you're not sure about coming to see the Vipers or either one of the games, you can watch 2 games of cricket going on at the same time. Good shot from Abel, moves on to 34.
98 for 2 Somerset. As Dawson bowls, he advances, and that's played back to him. Dawson does well, fielding off his own bowling, and nearly takes out Azam, which I'm sure Hampshire fans won't mind at this stage. Wipe him out at the non-striker end, though I'm not sure that's technically allowed. So Abel's also striking the ball nicely as Dawson bowls him. He advances, he's hit that extra cover, and that was nearly one of the best catches I've seen. James Vince does get his right hand to it, diving to his right, but only as far as long off, and he sort of looks at his hand there. Wow, that would have been good.
That one's pushed it round the corner. Good goalkeeper stop that one, wasn't it? Low to his right. I think it was a bit hopeful to expect it to be stuck, but did well, didn't he? Did really well getting down there.
So Abel moved to 35 as Dawson bowls to Azam. He advances, turns that into the onside there. Look for 2. Donald quickly off the rope. They're coming back for 2, and they've thrown to the keeper's end, and they make it comfortably. Perhaps I think he probably should go to the bowler's end slightly shorter, but that's well run. Again, he's set off, and that's Somerset's 100 up then. 12 overs gone, but that's good batting what he's doing there, they say when the field's spread like that, if you can just hit the ball to the edge of the 30-yard circle, there's two there all the time, and that's what he's doing. That's clever batting. 101 for 2 then, 12 overs gone.
How many times do we say it? And how many times did we sort of notice that Hampshire didn't really do that against Glamorgan last week? But this is a big boundary side away to our left. And you know, the 2 runs is on. If you both go straight away and you're both committed, it's on. It's going to take somebody absolutely lightning in the field to race in. Maybe a Brad Taylor from time to time might just about keep them down to 1. But I think when both batsmen decide to go, very difficult, isn't it? Very, very difficult indeed. 12 overs gone, 8 to do then if the weather holds. And it's 101 for 2. Chris Morris back into the Hampshire attack. 2 overs, none for 14 for the South African. Did about half his run up there, then stopped. I don't think Abel was quite ready. He's on 35, 49 to Azam. Here's Morris, runs away from us, right arm over, and bowls. There's a little scoop shot, and it's gone over fine leg for 4. Lovely shot, quite deliberate with the fine leg up. Morris going for the Yorker, wasn't quite there.
Yeah, fantastic shot. This is good batting, and it's also very exciting to watch, regardless of what fan you are. He's just got down there. The pace of Chris Morris is a brave shot, and just used the pace to carry it down there. Clever batting from him.
It was, and Abel moves on to 39 now as Morris comes in again. 105 for 2. Morris bowls to Abel. Abel plays and cuts and misses. Again, that extra bit of bounce and pace that we've seen from time to time in these overcast conditions.
Here comes the rain.
Yep. You can just see it in that floodlight up just to the left of the pavilion as we look. Not quite as hard as it was the last time the players left the field, halfway through the 6th, but I don't think we're far away from it happening again. Morris comes in. Still windy. It's Morris battling the wind. Lovely drive there through extra cover. Throw comes in at the bowler's end, he would have been out. Had that throw hit from James Fuller at the bowler's end, Abel would have been gone. As it is, he's still there, 40 not out.
That's well fielded. They're always that shy at the bowler's end. He's always on when they take that quick single in the ring.
Well, the players might not be going off, but the crowd are moving. So it's the rain is significant.
This is when the Hampshire fans need to say, stay sat, because if the umpires turn to their right and see that.
Bit of a mass exodus away to our right of the fans looking for some shelter. As that's pushed through extra cover. Chases on here for Brad Taylor, he's not going to get it. And that's going to be 4 more. 110 for 2 here. And Azam has reached his half century. And as he does so, he makes his way off. And the players are going to have another break. It's going to be the second break of the evening. Azam 53 not out, that's come off 32 deliveries. Somerset 110 for 2. 2 balls left of the 13th over. And we're going to have another break for rain.
I'll tell you what, it really amazes me how quick those Somerset batsmen get off. They're literally up in their dressing room now. Like, they've made that off. It's like they've never seen rain before. Does it rain down in Somerset, Kev?
Well, it is. We were talking to the BBC Somerset guys who are here. Mark Davis, former Somerset left-arm seamer, who does commentary from time to time for BBC Somerset. He's away to our left along with Anthony Gibson, a regular commentator on Somerset. Apparently they came through, they left with a lot of rain at Taunton today when they left. Mind you, they didn't leave till about 3:30. I thought, that's cutting it fine. And they got here with about, what, 20 minutes to spare?
If that. After the toss. So 110 for 2 Somerset, 12.4 overs gone. I imagine after this break we potentially may see some reduced overs. But as we say that, the rain is stopped already. As we look into the floodlights, there's no rain about. So it's one of those that actually the players are coming back down the steps before the Hampshire players have got to the dressing room. It has completely stopped, and the umpires are sort of looking around as if to say what they want here, but it's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Just isolated showers.
Yeah. Although actually, looking to our left, Emily, I think in the distance it looks a fraction brighter, which is predominantly where the rain is coming from. It's coming a little bit, well, it's not actually to our left and it's not straight ahead, it's sort of in between, and we're sort of on the edge of some dark clouds. Depending on which way the wind blows and is blowing the clouds, we might get away with a little bit actually.
The umpire's talking to the head groundsman.
It's coming back down again.
Yeah, I feel like there is just that sort of cloud that needs to pass but as you said, it is lighter to our left.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, where it's so windy, they tend to pass quite quickly.
Yeah. That's the one good thing about the wind tonight, is that if it does rain, it isn't going to be for too long. Well, you hope it isn't, unless of course the cloud is banked up for quite a way.
But I was going to say, one thing I will say, this stoppage of play, probably if it favours a side, will favour Hampshire, because Somerset were just starting to get on a bit of a roll there, and so it gives Hampshire time to sort of reset, and the Somerset batsmen will have to come back out and sort of like reassess when they get there. Really, they probably won't play much differently, as they're playing so well, but actually this stoppage in play is probably favouring Hampshire at this stage.
Yeah, partnership of 73 unbroken now between Azam and Abel, and they're scoring at just close to 9.5 and over, so they'll be really happy in these conditions, scoring at that rate.
And I think you have to when there's rain about. That sounds so stupid, but the team batting second is always the team to favour in these conditions. The rain's starting to come down a little bit harder now, so we may see the sort of full covers being rolled out across the square. They're not as of yet. And actually, this amazes me, the groundsmen just don't have any coats on. If I was out there in that weather, there's no way I'd be there in just a jumper and shorts.
Let's be honest, you wouldn't want to be out in it at all, would you really? I mean, looking at the crowd, there's a few umbrellas out there and proper raincoats and what have you. The groundsmen, just wearing fleeces. Now, it does look as though they're running off for some other sheeting.
They're having a race as well down there.
Yeah, I've never seen them run that quick, that's for sure. My word. I don't know what they've been on this afternoon. 53 to Azam and 40 to Tom Abel. 73, as I mentioned, these two have put on. They both hit 5 fours apiece and a 6, so they're mirroring each other pretty much. 32 balls for Azam's 53, 27 balls for Tom Abel's 40. And as Emily says, there was certainly momentum in that partnership, and Hampshire will be pleased that this rain has broken it up.
I've actually been really impressed with Tom Abel. I sort of probably didn't do him justice when we talked about him earlier. Actually, he's probably had to develop that side of his game, be able to manipulate the field. He's not necessarily, as we said, the most powerful batsman, but how he's using that switch hit, that ramp, so finding his boundary options still, I think, is brilliant to see. I sort of look at him as a player similar to how Joe Root approaches T20 cricket. He's just got to 40 without you really realising, and actually playing some fantastic shots. As they've pulled the covers, they're sort of halfway. The rain has now stopped again, and it is looking dramatically a lot brighter ahead of us.
Yeah, that's good news. In fact, they have. They've stopped putting the sheets on. That was a waste of time, wasn't it?
I'd hate to be a groundsman when the weather's like this.
It's not great, is it? Matt Colleen back on the tweets at Somerset Sports says, if either of you wanted to see what blind cricket is like, you are welcome to attend a training session over the winter.
I've actually played.
You mentioned earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, we played a game sort of against, and quite a lot of my friends as well have played, and it's genuinely it's the most incredible thing. Like, if I had or limited sight or no sight, to be able to hit a cricket or the balls that they use as well as they do, it's wow. I'd like to see professional cricketers, like male cricketers, against like that sort of side. They're just so talented.
There's some more cricket going on actually at the Ageas. We mentioned the Vipers playing, and then Matt Colleen got in touch and said that the Hampshire visually impaired team are there. Helen Porter has just tweeted at Somerset Sports, says there's also a women's W10 tournament at the Ageas on Sunday. How are they going to fit all this in? There's only 2 grounds here. There's a lot of cricket going on. Helen also says Alton Cricket have a team there, although their hardball team are playing away at Hursley Park in a top of the table clash. That's
in the Hampshire League. That's against our seconds. Making sure there's a good side out down there. We've had selection issues this week for that reason.
Have you?
Yeah, but no, it should be a good battle, and the Hampshire League's getting stronger and stronger as well, and it should be a good game down at Hursley Park.
So that's a 10 over tournament?
No, so that hardball game is, I think they play 50 over, or maybe 40 overs,
right?
In the Hampshire League on a Sunday, and that's the highest division of women's cricket in the county. and then our ones play in the Southern Premier League, which covers obviously the whole of the south.
Okay. Now, am I being optimistic, or is it slightly brightening up? I think it is. The ground staff are doing something with the covers. I think they're going to be... Well, it looks like they're actually rolling them out, but I think they're doing that so they can fold them. I think we're going to get a resumption in play again shortly. Just to remind you, the state of play here at the Ageas Bowl, Somerset 110 for 2 in the 13th over. And again, having had a break for about 11 minutes earlier in the innings. This one isn't going to be much, it's going to be pretty similar, I think. I think, again, we're still inside the time where we're still going to get a 20 overs a side game, assuming there's not any more rain. So, and again, looking straight ahead over the pavilion, it looks brighter. Looking slightly to our left, it looks slightly brighter. It looks as though there's a break in the cloud. So we should be all right. My weather app, although it hasn't been brilliant, I don't know what your weather app's like, Emily, but mine is saying currently, again, still about 9 o'clock, a bit of rain coming in, getting heavier. So we're still an hour away from what might be proper rain. So it looks like we can get another hour's play in here, at the very least.
Do you know what my weather app says is on Portsmouth, and it said there's no rain about till 11 o'clock. So had this fantastic round be in Portsmouth, we'd be all right, Kev.
About the time you get home, it'll be raining. You better make sure you wear a raincoat in the car. You'll get wet going from the car in your driveway to your house. Yes, the hover cover is still on. The sheeting covering the bowlers' run-ups, which didn't really ever go into proper place.
Blue sky
are off the field
ahead.
now. Yeah, it is. This is brightening, and very quickly. And the crowd is returning from that sort of walkway between underneath the what is that stand? The Shane Warne stand to our right. And
now, would we have lost overs here?
I don't think so. I think we're just going to be inside. I don't know. It's very difficult to hear Chris Temple, the stadium announcer, who I'll be with at Bournemouth tomorrow, by the way.
If you didn't know, the football season is starting for the Premier League this week, but obviously Portsmouth played the week before.
Lost.
Yeah. Why are you so pleased to say that?
Well, I wasn't pleased. I just said they lost. I was pleased. I remembered the result. I'll be doing the sports show tomorrow between 2 and 6 o'clock. We're coming live from the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth against Sheffield United. We've got Saints in Premier League action. Also up at Burnley. Portsmouth are at home to Tranmere Rovers.
I thought you weren't going to know who they were playing. I'm actually really impressed.
And Eastleigh are up at Barrow. So those are the 4 live games tomorrow. So I remembered those. Yeah, I've been working on that this afternoon. So yeah, if you're listening, if you're at Loose End tomorrow, have a listen to the sports show tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But looking forward to getting a resumption of play here in a few minutes' time, we hope. Let's read out the Hampshire bowling figures so far. Chris Wood, 2 overs, 1 for 10. Kyle Abbott, 2 overs, 1 for 14. Chris Morris is in his 3rd over at the moment. 2 balls left of his 3rd over, none for 23. Liam Dawson, 3 overs, none for 25. Brad Taylor, 2 overs, none for 22. And James Fuller, just that 1 over for 12 runs. Don't think it's been that easy for the bowlers, gripping the ball. The ropes going along the outfield once more, trying to get rid of those water droplets on the top of the outfield. Not easy to bowl, not easy to keep control of the ball. Hampshire bowled all right, but I think the batting has been very good, especially between Abel and Azam.
Yeah, I just think the difference that I've seen, or of what I've seen in this competition so far, is just how well both Abel and Azam are timing the ball. I think it's quite easy to sort of hit the ball into the gap with no real timing, whereas they're timing the ball, which has allowed particularly some drives down to our left through extra cover that potentially could have gone for 1 or 2 or clearing the ropes. It's not, and it just seems effortless, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, super batting, that's for sure. Matt Colleen back on the tweets at Sunday Sport. I presume he's talking about blind cricket now, or the blind cricket ball. I bowled an over to the now second 11 coach Jimmy Adams a few years ago, got the first ball wrong and it flew past his nose. He'd have been used to that.
So the covers are coming off now by the looks of things, and the umpires are strolling out to the middle very purposely, and I actually think it's brighter now than it's been for a little while here.
Yeah, it's good conditions now. There's a few dark clouds ahead, but a lot of clear sky. It feels like it's about 3 hours earlier all of a sudden, having looked dark and gloomy.
Again, where it's not, the rain's just not sitting in because it is so windy and it's carrying the clouds away, which is good. The umpires are there, and the Hampshire players are coming from their dressing room. Stumps are going into the wicket. They have to be moved out because of the hover cover, and the 2 cars still going round with the rope.
It's amazing how good a job that rope does. Do you get that in your cricket as well?
No, the outfield's, if the outfield's wet, it sort of stays wet. I'd actually love to be one of the drivers of those trucks, if I'm honest. It looks good fun. It's like go-karting, isn't it? Just round in a circle. How quick do you reckon they go?
I don't know. Well, obviously the one on the inside goes slower than the one on the outside because that has to sort of keep up. So that goes at least twice, if not 3 times as quick. So we're going to get a resumption shortly. The 2 umpires are out there in the middle. Hampshire are regrouping at the end of the outfield at the rope in front of the pavilion. The hover cover is just making its way off the playing area. 110 for 2 then Somerset. 2 balls left of the 13th over, and this looks like being a stoppage of around 15 minutes. And if you add that to the 11 minutes that we had earlier, I still think we're within that half an hour or so cut off, and we're still playing a 20 overs a side game. We're going to get a good chunk here. Looking at the sky above us, we're going to get a good chunk of play in.
Get good value for money here, don't you? Because you get that extra half hour now.
Yeah, well, as long as it doesn't rain, that's for sure. I'm just wondering if they might cut the break down by 5 minutes or so, because the break is going to coincide with some half-decent weather. So they might cut the break of, what, 15 minutes down to 10. We'll have to wait and see. I think that will happen. Hampshire are in a huddle. Probably just...
They're 1 player light as well.
Oh dear, they are. I don't know who that is making his way down the steps, but he's way behind the others. Probably just having a chat now, because this is quite an important last period of the Somerset innings. They have 8 wickets to play with here at Somerset. 2 batsmen going well. They've still got batting to come. Eddie Barham's having a decent season in this T20 competition. Roland van der Merwe, who's a very busy batsman. And then you start to get into the all-rounders and the tail end. So certainly the next couple of batters are dangerous. And Hampshire will need a good little period of play here of what, just over 7 overs. And Babar Azam really is key towards Somerset getting a really challenging total. Get him early.
I still think Tom Abel could be dangerous here. How he's playing, he's not too far off Azam, and it just seems to be hitting the middle of his bat at the moment.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Or it did prior to this rain.
Well, you never know. Sometimes drinks breaks and lunch breaks and tea breaks give a completely change of the way the innings shapes, and I think Hampshire will be hoping that this will do the same. So yeah, 15-minute break. That one with Somerset 110 for 2, and Chris Morris will finish off his over. 2 balls left of his 3rd over. Is this me this end? I can't remember. Who is it this end?
This is you.
Morris runs in and bowls. Short delivery to Azam. That's a good bouncer. And that's a no ball. That's interesting. Was that over shoulder height?
We'll see if it's free hit or not, because I think that's the only one that's not a free hit, isn't it? If it's over shoulder height.
You're right. The umpire's signalling something.
And it's not a free hit, so it would have been for being over shoulder height. But there was good carry there.
Wasn't it?
McManus catching that sort of way above his shoulder.
Here's Morris again then, and bowls to Azam. Length ball. Azam just pushes that into the covers where there's a gap, and he'll move on to 54, 113 for 2.
Abel coming onto strike. That's sort of a wake-up delivery, isn't it? Had that not been a good ball, a no ball, coming back out to the middle after a delay, and then you get a short ball at a decent pace firing past your nose, you wouldn't be too happy, would you? Changing field here, fine leg gone back, and square leg come into the circle.
Here's Morris then, bowls to Abel. And he's gone for the little paddle shot on the leg side. Gets it off the bottom of the bat. Goes out square along the ground. And he'll keep the strike at the end of that over. 13 gone, 7 to do. And Somerset are 114 for 2. Matt Clean's back on the tweets. He says it was a domestic blind cricket ball that he got that ball that passed Jimmy Adams' ears. He says, can Emily remember if she used the larger domestic or the smaller international ball in the blind game? Can you remember that?
I wouldn't know the difference between the two, if I'm honest.
Just say the smaller international ball.
Yeah, I'll go for that one.
I wouldn't have thought you would have used because women don't use the men's cricket ball, do they? You use one that's slightly.
But we were
less
playing
weight,
against men.
Right.
Blind.
Okay.
So it's Liam Dawson from the pavilion end. And that's a switch hit, and that has flown for 6 by Tom Abel. Wow, that is a hell of a shot. I think that's one of the best inventive, probably best switch shots I've seen. That's gone far.
That has gone a long way, and it was dropped in the back row of the seating away to our right in front of the main scoreboard. Just watch the guy take it in 2 hands and it popped out.
So
Don't think he'll be called upon as a substitute fielder.
Abel moves on to 47. Liam Dawson under pressure here by Abel, and he's gone again, and it's going to be the same result. Actually, no, it's not. It's 1 bounce 4, and he brings up his 50. This is fantastic batting. So he's moved on to 50 off 30 balls, 6 4s and 2 6s. Good innings by Tom Abel, and a crucial one for Somerset. This break certainly hasn't hindered Abel.
And we said we were surprised at his strike rate of 170 overall in this competition, and today it's exactly 170. 170 runs per 100 balls for the Somerset captain.
So 2 men still up there, not adjusting the field, so it'll be interesting to see what Abel does. Again here, Dawson bowls, he advances this time and hits a sweeper at long off. Will just be a single. Chris Wood out there, does the fielding. He moves on to 52. 1-2-5 for 2 then, 13.3 overs gone. Still looking bright ahead of us.
Yep, that's good. Yep, we're going to get some play in for a while, that's for sure.
As Dawson, we bowling to Azam, who's on 54. Dawson bowls, that's played up to long on. Abel runs the first one hard, but there shouldn't be 2 there. There isn't 2. Chris Morris at long on does the fielding. He moves on to 55, 1-2-6 for 2.
Yeah, that ball just sort of landing too far outside of the 30-yard circle, and it gets too close to the fielder, isn't it? Never 2 there when the ball. Well, he's picked that up about 10 yards past the 30-yard circle.
Dawson just threw the ball to his skipper to do some drying. As Dawson from that pavilion end bowls to Abel, advances, turns that into the onside at mid-wicket. There won't be 2 there as well. He's hit that too well. And Aaron Donald 1 bounce into Lewis McManus. 1-2-7 for 2.
It's interesting, isn't it? He's playing it a slightly different way now, Abel. The switch hits have gone, even though Hampshire actually haven't plugged the gap, have they? They've left that gap open away to our right.
Could be sensible batting for him, though. There's already 14 off the over, so does he need to play a high-risk shot as Dawson bowls? Azam's heaved that into the onside, a back foot pull shot, but only finds a sweeper at mid-wicket, and Aaron Donald 1 bounce into Lewis McManus, and that's 14 overs gone. 6 overs of this Somerset innings remains. 1-2-8 for 2.
14 runs off that Liam Dawson over, expensive one. A couple of good hits from Tom Abel though. This is a very, very dangerous partnership indeed. They've carried on despite that 15-minute break for rain. These 2 have carried along nicely indeed, and they have now put on 91, and they are scoring at a fraction under 10 and over, so they've actually slightly increased their run rate.
Chris Wood back into the attack. I think that's a good move from James Vince. They really need a breakthrough here, Hampshire.
Yes, they do. Wood's 2 overs, 1 for 10 round the wicket, and he's playing a missing. Has he edged it through to the keeper? If he did, I think it bounced just short of McManus. Wood was just about ready to go up. Babar Azam giving himself a little bit too much room there, getting a bit of bounce.
Yeah, I think Wood will be wanting to bowl in this situation. He's bowled a very economical first 2 overs, 2.1 overs for just 10 runs, which is fantastic in T20 cricket. Picked up a wicket as well.
Wood to Azam, heaves that away on the leg side along the ground. It's Russo moving smartly to his right, picks it up cleanly, throws it to McManus, keeps it down to 1. Azam throwing the bat at that one, didn't time it. Moves on to 57. 129 for 2 here, Somerset in the 15th. Couple of breaks for rain. We think we're still on course for a 20 overs a side game. Certainly the Somerset innings looks like it's going to last the full 20, looking at the weather ahead, although there are still some grey clouds above us. Full, driven by Abel, not timed, wide of mid-on. A little bit too much work for Narin to do to keep it down to 1. Throws it at the bowler's end. Wood doesn't pick it up cleanly. 131 for 2 here, Somerset. Going along nicely.
Yeah, good running again. It just seems at the moment Hampshire just can't restrict them to the ones. Ones in T20 cricket players will be happy with. They're just bringing up third man Liam Dawson down there.
Yeah, fine leg going back. Abel's a couple of times walked across his stumps and played the little paddle shot down to fine leg. Fine leg is back for that shot now. Woods round the wicket and bowls to Abel. Abel heaves down the ground. It's in the air, short of Donald. One bounce, picks it up just inside the rope, throws it to Wood. That single takes Somerset on to 132 for 2.
Yeah, good take that by Donald actually. It sort of skidded on along the floor there and went just above his shoulder height. Good fielder, an iron Donald.
Never quite sure how the ball's going to skid off this turf, do you?
At least it's like not in club cricket where it could go anywhere. At least it comes in straight.
Full outside the off stump, and Azam has a heave, misses, goes through to McManus. I think he was coming across that a little bit, Azam. It was almost as if he was trying to thrash that down the ground. I think he's replaying the shot, saying probably should have hit that through extra cover. And immediately that brings the response with James Vince going back at mid-off all the way to the boundary.
Dawson up at third man. Interesting that he's fielding there, actually. He's usually in the game in front of the bat. So
yeah. Almost hidden there, isn't he? Bowls to Azam again, does Wood. Let's heaved away on the onside. Now it's in the air. Now Donald's running around to his right. Is he going to take it? No, it's gone for 6. Oh, I thought that was going to bounce inside the rope for a minute, and then the ball just kept going. It still bounced on the turf, but just over the rope. Donald threw out a right hand. I think he got a fingertip on it, but he was never going to catch that.
No, it's one of those that it would have been a good catch, but you sort of need to be set on the rope for you to be able to judge those sort of catches that have gone over your head, and he was still running round to his right. But a good shot, a partnership of 100 now between Azam and Abel, and a very good one for Somerset.
10 runs off that Chris Wood over as well. The momentum is with Somerset here. I thought when Banton went in the first over for 1, we thought, yeah, that's a good start from Hampshire. 7 for 1. Then James Hildreth went in the 5th over for 11, 37 for 2 since then. The visiting side here have just gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, they certainly have. And I think the best thing about this partnership is they're both equally contributing. So it's James Fuller into the attack again from that pavilion end as he bowls to Abel. He's given himself some room. Heave that onto the onside. He's gone for more power, but he hasn't timed it, and it's not a 2. That's well fielded there by Chris Morris at long on. Got to the ball quickly.
He did. The ball only, well, he picked it up just outside the 30-yard circle. I think Azam didn't turn as quickly as he would have liked. I think maybe the surface is a little bit greasy with the rain we've had on it, and for me, he didn't turn as quickly as I thought he might. And that, of course, gave Morris a valuable couple of yards to get closer to the ball.
James Vince going back at long off now. Kyle Abbott coming into the 30-yard circle at fine leg. There's Fuller bowling to Azam. He's given himself some room over the offside and just lifts it as Fuller followed him and just lifted it over the top. That's one bounce for Azam. Moves to 67 off 41. 1-4-3 for 2.
Short and wide outside the off stump. Azam had all the time in the world with that one, didn't he? I'm just looking to my left. Is that a candy store?
Yes, it is.
That looks great, doesn't it?
We haven't got the smell of donuts yet either, have we?
No, but look at that. I mean, that looks an amazing sweet stall, that does. Even from this distance. That looks very, very tempting. Don't think we've got time in the break to nip down there and get back.
There's Fuller bowls to Azam. That's again short outside the off stump, and he's lifted that over the rope into the stands for 6. Short and wide again by Fuller. And Azam had to do nothing more when you're timing the ball as well as that to just let it hit his bat, and off it went. He moves to 73, 1-4-9 for 2. This is a very destructive partnership for Somerset here, and Hampshire need to do something.
I know Azam's a good player, but I'm not sure this is the right tactic here. He's got third man up and backward point up, bowling short outside the off stump to the short boundary side. I'm just not sure this is the right tactic.
In comes Fuller then to Azam, bowls, and that's outside the off stump again. Good length this time, play and miss.
See, that's a length ball, and on this surface, which is a bit greasy, you know, you've got to remember there's been 2 showers of rain that have got on this track before the hover covers got on, so it's making it greasy. And that's a good ball, and that's just short of a length. You know, that's much harder to hit. If he hits through that, he's done well. Whereas I think the balls that have been short outside the off stump, it's been too easy for him.
Yeah, long off now comes into a mid-off, and the third man has gone back. As Fuller in again to Azam, advances, and he's guided that down to third man. That's fielded by Chris Wood.
Again, that's a good ball, isn't it? You know, that's full, just outside of stump, only just, but he's not hitting that very far. You know, the last two balls have been, the last two balls have been much better. You know, much more thinking behind it, better deliveries.
Yeah, I think. Well, it wasn't necessarily I wouldn't imagine it was a tactic. Probably just slight execution.
Yeah. Again, the ball being soft and wet doesn't help.
It's Fuller bowls. He gives himself room. That's hit onto the onside. That's to the long boundary. Donald does well, and he comes round, takes a fantastic catch. Potentially that wasn't his catch. That probably would have been easier for Brad Taylor. But that is Tom Abel gone for 57 of 35 deliveries, and a fantastic knock that was him. That just looked like a bit of a top edge, but that's an important breakthrough for Hampshire.
God, they needed that, didn't they? They absolutely needed that, and what a catch that was. I didn't think he got there. I thought Donald had too much to do, and again in that sort of slippery outfield, isn't it? It's one of those where you hurl yourself at the ball and you just keep going, and he did really well to hold on to that. Took it diving forward and low down. Super catch. I've said before that the best catches are the ones that you don't look like you're going to quite get to, and there won't be many fielders, I don't think, that would have got there. Donald was one of those, fortunately for Hampshire. 150 for 3, and that partnership was worth 113.
And that's 15 overs gone. No, 16 overs gone, sorry. So 4 remain. Is that right? 16?
Yeah, 4 to go. I think we are going to get all 20 in, and I think we will. Looking at the sky above us. Well, it's not Babar Azam, but it's Tom Abel at the moment. The way Somerset were batting, we'll take either.
Kyle Abbott's coming back into the attack. He's got 2 overs left. Bowled 2 overs for 14. Picked up the wicket of James Hildreth for 11.
Unfortunately for Fuller, I don't think that's enough to give him another over. We'll have to wait and see. He's bowled 2 overs, 1 for 24. Abbott, as Emily mentioned, back into the attack.
Left-hander at the crease as well, Eddie Byron.
Bowls. Byron smashes that through the covers, and I don't think Russo's getting there. He isn't. Just gave himself some room, short of a length, just smashed it away.
Wow. That's a way to welcome yourself to the crease.
Yeah. We mentioned Byron's been batting well, averaging 51. Only had 3 innings though, but his strike rate is into the 230s, so I don't think he's going to be hanging around. And I think anything, judging from that first ball, I think he's certainly not going to be hanging around here. Somerset have plenty of wickets to play for. They can really go for it here. 154 for 3. Abbott's having a word with Vince, probably about where he's going to bowl and making sure that he's got the right field. That's what usually happens. And he's followed Byram, who hits that out on the onside. I think he split the field wide of mid-on. They'll come back for 2. Donald throws it into Lewis McManus at the far end. Byram already on to 6 off just 2 deliveries. 156 for 3.
Yeah, that was well bowled actually. It was a Fuller length, wasn't it? It was sort of almost a Yorker length, but followed him as he's given himself some room, clearly wanting to hit that short offside boundary. Again, conversation between Vince and Abbott.
I think length ball on here hasn't been a bad ball on the whole. You will get hit, of course, but I think some of the balls, they do go through. That's a low full toss, which Byram doesn't really get hold of. Now, they could run 2. Donald picks it up cleanly at deep mid-on. Keeps it down to a single.
Yeah, that's one of those balls that you sort of expect to be hit out the park. He's obviously going for that Yorker tactic, is Kyle Abbott. Not necessarily executed it, and that's the danger with going for the Yorker, is you miss that length slightly and it's either a full toss or a half volley. So Yorkers are no mean easy to bowl. No.
157 for 3, halfway through the 17th. Dave Allen, who's listening. Evening to you, Dave, at Sunnet Sport. A record 3rd wicket partnership for Somerset against Hampshire. First of 100 plus. Thank you, Dave. 113 between Abel and Azam, a record for Somerset then. Here's Abbott. Bowls to Azam, who's on 74, full of a length, and he guides that down to 3rd man. Did well. It's gone very quickly down to 3rd man. And I think that's Dawson down there. Does really well to pick it up cleanly. Is that Dawson?
Yeah, I think it is.
No, Dawson's at extra cover. That's
Northeast.
Northeast, yeah. Did well there, didn't he? It was touch and go whether he was able to pick that up cleanly. And he did. 158 for 3. Brings Byron back on strike. Field changes because Byron's the left-hander.
I think in this Hampshire side there's some fantastic fielders now. If you've got Sam Northeast down at third man, he's certainly a good fielder in his own right.
Abbott, slower ball, and it's missed by Byron, who walked across outside his off stump trying to scoop that away on the leg side. 2 bounces through to McManus.
A slow ball into the pitch as well. That was a good delivery.
Yeah. Byron almost went too far really and had given himself too much to do. 158 for 3, 1 ball left of the 17th, still 3 overs to go, 19 balls left of the Somerset innings, and Azam off strike, which is good news really, although Byron's done a reasonable job here so far. 7 off 4, started with a boundary. Here's Abbott, low full toss, and that's scooped away, and he's going to be caught at short fine leg. Easy catch there for Sam Northeast. Probably just as well Byron didn't get hold of that, otherwise that would have been flying down to fine leg. But he somehow managed to scoop that into the hands of Sam Northeast. Byron goes for 7, it's 158 for 4.
Do you think that was pace off by Abbott, which made it not carry? It just sort of lifted there to fine leg. But big wicket again for Hampshire. Byron could have been destructive, and it's good to pick up these late wickets because it stops Somerset getting onto a flyer. I think Azam hasn't had much of the strike again. He's on sort of stuck around that 70 mark at 75, and it's not because he's dotting up or anything, it's because he hasn't had much of the strike. So Lamun B comes to the crease.
Yeah. Jack Brooks, the Somerset seamer, on the tweets at Somerset Bowl. Evening to you, Jack. Tuned in to watch the Cider Boys and listen to your dulcet tones. Thank you very much, Jack. That's very kind of you. Myself and Emily Windsor. I know Jack joined us for a little while, didn't he, during the one-day final at Lord's.
Chris Morris to bowl his final over from the pavilion end to bowl to Azam, who goes off side of the ball, doesn't make much contact with it, only finds Kyle Abbott at fine leg, picks up a single.
You could just feel the Somerset innings just dropping away now already with that wicket of Abel. Azam hasn't faced quite so much. You just feel that his momentum has just slightly changed since that wicket as well.
So another left-hander to the crease, Lamun B. 159 for 4. He will be hitting towards that short leg side boundary, just adjusting the field here, as Vince is making a decision whether he wants fine leg or third man back. Chris Morris, the bowler, and he ends up with Kyle Abbott down at third man. 2 men quite close together on the leg side, a mid-wicket and square leg. As Abbott bowls, he dances too much there. He's gone leg side, offside.
Where was he going?
The thing is, he's done too much there because he was actually in no balanced position to play the shot. It's all right to move, but you've got to be able to. You've got to have a base to be able to.
You've almost got to be still when you play the shot, haven't you? I mean, he could have been the next contestant on Strictly Come Dancing the way he was moving around there.
Or not.
Or not. Yeah, actually watching that. Yeah.
So Morris to Lamonby again, and that's pulled into the onside. That split the 2 fielders there at mid-wicket, and that's gone for 4. That's good timing, short out there, but that's him off the mark for onto 4, 163 for 4.
And the secret to that was he stayed absolutely still, didn't he? Absolutely dead still, and hit across the line. Lovely time, lovely sweet shot.
And I sometimes think the movement, yes, you want to move around in the crease, but I sometimes think that's to put off the bowler. When you've got someone like Chris Morris at that end, who's an international bowler, I don't think he's going to be phased too much by it.
Might have seen that a few times.
Morris to Lamonby, again trying to go offside and heave onto the leg side, and he doesn't make contact.
That was ambitious. Slightly quicker ball there from Chris Morris. 163 for 4. Somerset will be happy with that, with 2 breaks in their innings for rain. 1 of 11 minutes early on in the power play, 15 minutes in the 13th.
One thing I will say as well here, Lamonby looks like he's trying to whack the ball out the park, whereas actually he's playing and missing. What he needs to be doing is getting bat on ball and getting his partner on strike, who's 75 not out. That's pulled into the onside. They may look for 2 here as he hasn't timed that well, and they do come back for 2. That's thrown into the keeper's end, and they make it comfortably. That's good running.
Good to get 2 on the short boundary side.
Yeah, he's just completely miscued that. That was potentially probably Morris's ball to chase, but Lammonby moves to 6, 165 for 4.
Well, I think if he gets a single here, I don't think Hampshire will be too disappointed or keep Azam away from the strike. He could go through the innings again being not out, couldn't he? 90 odd not out in the game between these two at Taunton a couple of weeks ago. He could end up being in a similar situation here.
Morris to Lammonby, that's a slower ball and that's an outside edge. That's when you hate being a bowler. You've done everything right, he's hit the right length, and Lammonby just gets a thick outside edge and it races for 4. 169 for 4. Lammonby on 10. Azam will take the strike in this over, and he's 76 not out. 2 overs remain.
Well, it's a challenging total already, isn't it, for Somerset? Yes, there's a slightly short boundary away to our right, the west side of the ground. And the ball, there's a bit more pace in this wicket. Whether that's quite deliberate or whether that's because of the greasy nature of the surface, because of the showers of rain that we've had. But there's more pace on this than we've seen in other T20 games here. There haven't been particularly high-scoring games here. This does look a wicket which is giving batsmen a little bit more value for the shots, but this still looks a decent total.
Starting to get a bit grey overhead.
So I was just looking at that as I was talking. Over the pavilion in front of us, there is some more grey clouds coming over. Here's Abbott then running away from us. Bowls to Azam. Length ball. Azam hits that over cover for 6. Where's he getting this power from?
That is an unbelievable shot. Again, we've seen 2 of them, but it's just timing. It just looks effortless. I guess when you're in the form he's in and he's now 82 not out, what can you do?
That's his 4th 6 of the innings. It's like when you watch a golfer, isn't it? And they hit a golf ball and you think, how on earth is he hitting that ball like that? And that's exactly the same as what Azam's doing. It's almost the minimum of effort for the maximum gain. Incredible, and that's the long boundary side, and it went over the rope with ease. Abbott, low full toss, hit hard up to mid-off. Vince dives, good stop to his left, and Azam just wafts the bat in the air. I think he probably thought that was going past Vince. It was a great stop, diving low to his left. He's made a couple of good stops, hasn't he? Low to his right, Vince up at extra cover earlier at the other end, and now low to his left, showing his versatility. He'd been a good goalkeeper, Vince, as well as a good goalkeeper, as well as a good footballer. He was on Reading's books when he was younger.
I think though Vince is a fantastic fielder, and just because he's captain, you sort of find himself near and around the bowler, not necessarily in the key fielding positions, but he is one of the best fielders out there. Yeah. But as the reason he's captain, he has to be about the bowler for conversations.
176 for 4. Lammonby back on strike, the left-hander. Short from Abbott, pulled away hard behind square on the next side, hard for 4. Lovely piece of time in there from the youngster, all along the ground. And there are 3 men out there on the leg side, 2 of them behind square. Lammonby's found the gap. He moves on to 14. It's 180 for 4 here, Somerset in the 19th. Yeah, close to 200 here. 2 years ago, Somerset got 189 for 3, won the game easily. Looks like they're going to at least get that, if not more. They should get more in this situation. Here's Abbott, bowls to Lammonby, short and slower ball, and that's pulled hard. This time he does find the man just backward of square leg. I think that's Fuller.
I think the big thing as well is how Hampshire go about this chase, because where there is rain about, you have to stay up with a run rate all the time, and you don't want to lose wickets because that affects Duckworth-Lewis. And so actually Somerset posting this total, they're not making the job easy for Hampshire at all, even should there be rain about.
I think you're right. Especially
as Hampshire as well tend to lose wickets in their power play. This could be a challenging chase, whether it's 20 overs or less.
Azam on 83, hits that high over mid-wicket. Let's go for 6 more. 5 rows back, wide of mid-on, length ball. Azam just cross-batted, hit through it. And like most of the shots he's hit here tonight, they just stay here. Cool, he is a dangerous player. Moves on to 89, 187 for 4. What a signing he's been for Somerset.
He might beat that 90 not out that he played at home. He may end up getting to 3 figures. The way he's striking the ball, you'd like to think so. If he
probably thinks 90 odd not out wasn't enough because Hampshire chased it. I better get a few more. That's full outside off stump, and that's hit to backward point. There is a man out on the boundary, picks it up clean. He had to, otherwise they would have come back for 2. And although actually Azam probably would have not gone, because I think he would have wanted to have kept the strike for this, the last over coming up here at the Ageas Bowl. Cloud watch, they're getting a little bit thicker coming over the hill in front of us, over the Pavilion, with Somerset 188 for 4, and they have 6 balls left. I think we'll get the 6 balls in, that's for sure. Be interesting to see what this weather does in the break. That's a big over there. That was 19 off that. Is that right? Wasn't it?
Yep.
19 off that Abbott over.
Chris Wood with the final over of this Somerset innings. Somerset certainly be looking for 200 here.
Definitely, especially with Azam on strike. 90 not out off 50.
Here we go then. Wood to Azam, that's on his pads. He hasn't got much on it, and McManus quickly takes his glove off, and it's only a single. Hampshire will be happy to see that.
Actually, Namanby ran really quickly there, and he was looking for 2. Azam was only about 2/3 of the way up the pitch. I'd already decided that was only a single.
At 189 for 4. I think just obviously for like this seems a big score, but I think compared to the pitches we've seen here at the Ageas Bowl, this is certainly a better pitch, and the boundaries are in. They're quite short boundaries here. There's quite a big bit of the Hampshire playing surface that isn't active, so it's still a big score, don't get me wrong, but should one of the Hampshire top order fire, or a couple, then they're right in with shouts. Wood bowls, that's a wide Yorker, and McManus misses the stumps as they've run to him, and I think that's going to be a bye. Have to wait and see. The umpire hasn't signalled just yet.
It's come off the bottom of the bat somehow. I don't know how that's missed the stumps, because from here it looked like McManus had got the ball through the stumps. It was that close.
190 for 4. Azam back on strike, the danger man. 90 not out of 51 deliveries as Wood turns at the top of his mark, and that's a good delivery, and that's a fantastic hand by Lewis McManus, diving to his left. They're going to come back for 2. Abbott needs to throw the ball in, and it hits the stumps. They appeal, but Azam's run well there, and he's got back for the second. The crowd underneath us egging him on. He moves to 92 then, 192 for 4.
There was no way Azam wasn't going to get 2 out of that. I think that's a good flick on there from McManus. That was a really good sort of change of direction from him, just patting it onto the stumps. I think that was quite close. McManus did ask the question to the umpire.
He's kept fantastically, hasn't he, in this
Done a good job since he's come in from all something.
Wood to Azam, that's on his pads, hit hard into the onside. That may split the field, yes it does. Nearly a good stop there from Brad Taylor, but that's 4 to Azam. He moves to 96. There's 2 overs left of this Hampshire innings, and 2 overs, 2 balls, and Somerset at 196 for 4.
Hampshire can't get him out. Again, he's got no right to split the field. The way he's flicked that away on the leg side. I mean, what is the gap between Taylor and Fuller? It's what? It's not even 20 yards. And somehow he's got it between them. All along the ground.
Yeah, that shows you how well he's timing
yards.
it. Yeah. So 2 balls remain. He's on 96. We'll be looking for that 3 figures, and Somerset will be looking for 200 as Wood bowls. That's a short delivery, and he's missed it. Good delivery from Wood. That's a proper bouncer.
That's a good ball, wasn't it? Again, it shows the greasy surface. The ball's coming off at good pace at times. It could be 90 odd not out of here again if he doesn't get more than 4.
I also.
Or if he doesn't get. Well, if he gets 4 or more, he's all right.
I think that was a good option from Wood. I don't think he would have been expecting that.
No.
So 196 for 4. The crowd clapping, getting behind his final balls. Azam 96 not out. Wood bowls. That's hit into the onside, and I think that's going to clear the rope. It does. That's 6, and that's Azam's 100, and that is 200 as well for Somerset. That's a good finish, and his teammates on the balcony and in the dugout applaud him, and he helmet and bat in the air, and Hampshire crowd stood on their feet applauding. That was a fantastic innings, and he's actually on his knees. Somerset 200, and I think it was 203?
202.
202, so 203 to win for Hampshire. Fantastic innings by Azam, an international class batsman, and that's a big chase for Hampshire. The clouds are getting darker, so 202 for 4. That was a fantastic display by Somerset.
Well, and that off that over, that's 14 off that one. So wow, I think he kissed the ground as well, Azam, as he was walking off. That's his first 100 in this year's competition. He was averaging 53 before tonight. That's increased as well. Just saluting the crowd as he walks off. That's a high-class innings from the Pakistan batsman. And that innings included 6 sixes. In fact, I think it's 7 sixes and 7 fours. And it lasted just 56 deliveries. Whoa.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic innings and it could be a match-winning innings. I think one of the Hampshire batters need to come out and get a high 80, 70, 80, or maybe even 3 figures for us to chase this down, and we certainly don't need to lose wickets in the power play.
Well, that's been Hampshire's downfall this year, really, isn't it? In the 3 defeats they've had so far in all close games, it's because they've lost wickets in the power play. 3 times they've lost 3 in the first 6 overs. Twice they've lost 2. Only once have they lost 1. That was the big win against Essex at Chelmsford. So that'll give you an idea of the problems Hampshire have, really, in losing those close games. We hope it's close here tonight. If it is, it's going to be some game, but I think Hampshire have got a lot to do here. That's a really, really good innings, not just from Azam, but a great effort from Somerset overall. Twice they were interrupted with rain, and giving Azam good support was Tom Abel, who made 57 off just 36 deliveries. He shared a stand worth 113 for the 3rd wicket with Azam after the first wicket of Tom Banton in the first over. And Hampshire fans and we got a bit excited about that, but it was short-lived.
Yes, I think, fantastic innings from Azam. There's not much more you can say about that, but Hampshire have to go out with the intent to chase a total. They certainly have those match winners in their side. The boundaries are in here, so the opportunities out there for the Hampshire to put on a display for the crowd that's stuck at it with the weather about, should this cloud that's sort of coming over now not affect the rest of the game.
I've got mixed opinions about that cloud. I don't think that might be a bad thing, actually, because I think Hampshire have got to bat terrifically well here to win this. Chris Wood, 4 overs, 1 for 33. Kyle Abbott, 4 overs, 2 for 41. Chris Morris, 4 overs, none for 38. Liam Dawson, 4 overs, none for 39. Brad Taylor, 2 overs, none for 22. And James Fuller, 2 overs, 1 for 24. We're in the break here at the Ageas Bowl. Hampshire needing 203 for victory, sitting 4th in the table. Somerset sitting 6th. We'll be back, myself, Kevin James and Emily Windsor. We'll be back with you in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to the Ageas Bowl, where we've had a little bit more rain, but fortunately, although if you're a Hampshire fan, you might hope for a bit more. Steve Densham was one of those at Somerset Sport, hoping for a 4-hour delay, because Somerset did rather well in their 20 overs. 202 for 4. Babra Azam, 102 not out of just 56 deliveries, put Hampshire to the sword. 57 from Tom Abel. Abel and Azam put on 113 for the third wicket. Dave Allen, who's been listening, said at Somerset Sport, to win, Hampshire must make their high score of the season, previously 174 twice. He also said Babar beats his 95 not out at Taunton, that's right, which was Somerset's highest ever score against Hampshire, so he's beaten his own score. Hampshire have a tough job on their hand. Are they going to bat 20 overs? Not just because they might be bowled out, but I think the weather might have something to say. We shall have to wait and see. Now I'm looking at the scoreboard, and it is still showing 20 overs, so even though we've had a bit of a break added on to the break between the innings, it still looks, anyway, according to the scoreboard, unless it changes in the next few minutes, that we are going to get a full 20 overs in at the moment anyway. Hampshire are going to need to score over 10 and over to get this. I'm Kevin James, next to me Emily Windsor. This is a tough night for Hampshire from here on in, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm just looking here. Sorry, the Hampshire groundsmen are certainly doing Hampshire a favour. The trucks seem to be stuck on the pitch. You got one at short extra cover and one at long on. They seem to be freezed here, and the Somerset players are going over to have a look what's going on.
Craig Overton's going over there. I'm sure he'll be pushing it off, making sure they go. Have they got a mechanical problem or what?
I don't know, but the players are certainly going over to have a look. But yes, Hampshire do have a tough ask here, but certainly have the capabilities in their line-up for someone to have that spectacular innings. Riley Russo and Iron Donald, James Vince, the top three. Any of them, you could say, could pull off a special innings. And the trucks are finally leaving the field with the rope. They were just getting the water off the top of the grass. But if Hampshire do get close, it will be a fantastic scene here at the Ageas Bowl, should the weather hold off.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it's close at the very least. If Hampshire lose early wickets, then this game could be a bit one-sided, like it was 2 years ago here when Somerset won by 98. Somerset won the last two games on this ground in the T20 competition. Do you want to do the first over this time?
I sure will. We'll swap ends. We'll take a change of ends.
Yeah.
So it's Max Waller, the down as the leg spinner, but bowls top spin.
Yeah, never bowls a leg spinner.
So we'll be bowling to a Iron Donald from the hotel end. Bowls, and he's cut that into the offside. Only finds extra cover, and that's a dot ball to start.
Well, we know both these two go hard at it, and I think they could be forgiven for going hard at it in this game, because they'll need to keep up with the rate, as we've been saying, that should we go off at any point, Hampshire need to be up with the Duckworth-Lewis.
Waller to Donald, that's edge into pad, another dot ball. There was a change of field that previous ball. They brought in a cover that was at a mid-wicket, so now mid-wicket's open. There's a deep mid-wicket and long on out on the rope as Waller bowls, and that's cut through the offside. He hasn't timed it, so will just be a single. Fielder at mid-off comes round, Van der Merwe. 1 for none, Hampshire. That's them off the mark.
It's interesting, Somerset have done exactly the same thing as Hampshire tonight, where they've opened up at this commentary end, the hotel end, where the last over will be bowled, where the batsmen have got to hit against the wind. something Hampshire didn't do in their game with Kent here in the first game of the season. Allowed Alex Blake to hit down the wind and win the game in the last over.
Waller to Riley Rousseau, and there's an appeal. I thought that bowled him, and it's not out. I'm not sure. Well, I don't really know what happened. I thought that hit his top of off stump,
So did
if I'm
I.
honest.
He was trying to flick that away on the onside. He missed it. He just flicked the top of the pad.
So
Can't have missed the stumps by much.
1 for none, Hampshire. 4 balls gone. Riley Rousseau, left-hander on strike. As Waller approaches from the hotel end, and that's on his pad. And that's worked down to fine leg. They come through for a quick single. That's 2 for none. Field has to change. Fielders here look to have set boundary fielders, so mid-wicket and long on are sprinting round. Literally doing mid-wicket to long on for both left and right-hander on the rope. Get your steps up. As Waller, final ball of this over, bowls to Nyren Donald. That's heaved onto the onside. That's hit hard, but fielded well by the Somerset field. I think that's Overton out there. It's just a single to finish, and that's a fantastic start for Somerset. 3 for none then off the first over.
Well, it was a good start. Yeah, Hampshire have been famed for going really after the bowling from the word go, and that's a good over actually. He just got I wouldn't say there was turn there for him, but a couple of balls just went off the straight a fraction, didn't they?
I just think it sort of skids on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's that they're not easy bowlers to face.
No.
Jerome Taylor from the far end.
Got a bit of criticism, didn't he, in the game up at at Taunton when Hampshire won at the end. A lot of people felt that his last over, there wasn't a lot of thought went into it.
Yeah, I think he hasn't perhaps done what Somerset would have liked him to do.
So, comes in from the pavilion end. I'm just looking at his economy rate. He's just over 10s. And bowls, that's short, and it's just guided backward a point. Hit high on the bat there. Donald had to get very high there, a bit skiddy. They'll pick up a single. 4 without loss in the second over. Hampshire, remember, needing 203 for victory. Hampshire sitting 4th in the table going into this fixture. Somerset 6th. Not a lot between the two, only a point separates the two sides. Somerset will feel that a win tonight is probably more valuable to them than it is for Hampshire, but it's valuable to both sides as we get into this second half of the group stages of this T20 tournament. Field changing for left-hander Rousseau. Got a slip in as well. Taylor, slippery, comes in, bowls to Rousseau. Rousseau tries to pull that on the onside. Ball gets on him quite quickly, hits him on the thigh pad.
Certainly is skidding on, isn't it? There was that bit of rain, and hover cover takes a little bit of time to get on the wicket. So as you said, it's going to have that skid-on effect, which actually sometimes does favour the batsman. The ball's coming onto the bat nicely. Hampshire yet to get the boundary away here, and they're going to need a fair few to chase down 202.
Well, just the one field on the leg side out on the boundary at deep square leg. The other one's down at third man. 2 men out of the 30-yard circle. Pulls that away. Rousseau in front of square for 4. A little bit too short there from Taylor.
Yeah, this is an interesting tactic from him. You've got no mid-wicket in place, and I guess it's because there's a slip, but he's just bowling short, and that's just asking to be pulled away there. And someone like Riley Rousseau isn't going to let you get away with that, and that does bring a change of field. So mid-wicket does come into play, slip out, and then a standard ring field on the offside.
Barnum's gone in at mid-wicket then. 8 without loss here, Hampshire. I think it might just take the Hampshire batsmen just a few balls to get used to this, because the wickets have tended to be slow here for the T20s up until tonight. Here's Taylor, bowls, and Rousseau on the back foot, pushes that up to mid-off. They'll take an easy single. Allowed to come through for 1 there. On to 9 now, and Rousseau moves on to 6. 2 balls left of over number 2. The board is still showing a full 20 overs here for Hampshire to bat. It's good news. We've had effectively 3 stoppages.
I think it's fantastic to see, like, the umpires obviously take control in these situations, and there's a crowd here. Try and let them see as much cricket as possible.
Yeah, as Taylor then comes in again. Right arm over, it's full. It's worked by Donald to mid-wicket. They're taking the single. Throw comes in. Rousseau's gone. Oh, the middle stump knocked out of the ground. A throw came in from mid-wicket. Russo didn't even bother running the bat. He was out that far. The throw had to hit the stump, and it doesn't get better than that, hitting the middle one. And Russo has gone for 6. Hampshire 9 for 1.
And I think that's a bit of scoreboard pressure running there. Donald's hit it quite hard and straight to mid-wicket. Yes, he had to hit the stumps, but he gave the fielder a lot of time to set himself and throw them down. And I think actually that was probably a bit brainless by Donald, and I think Riley's making sure he lets Donald know that as he walks off. But in comes James Vince. Hampshire didn't need that. 9 for 1.
Certainly didn't, and that's from Tom Lannonby. Good throw from him.
Yeah,
He was, well, I mean, what was that? That was a throw of about 18 yards, maybe a little bit more. Probably had a stump and a half to aim at where he was, maybe 2 stumps.
Yeah, I think he had quite a lot of the stumps to aim at actually from mid-wicket to throw towards the striker's end. Probably a good 2 stumps, and as I said, where he hit it so hard and it went straight into the hands, he had quite a lot of time to gather himself and get in a position to throw the stumps down.
9 for 1 then. Hampshire again losing an early wicket. It's been a feature of their play this year. Not quite as bad as last year. They were worse. Well, it felt worse half the time, but they've got to sort something out about losing wickets early on. Here's Taylor, comes in and bowls to Vince this time. Vince is in a decent amount of form. There's a lovely shot, straight drive back past the bowler, 4 runs.
That's probably shot of the day for me actually. That's just pure timing and straight back down the ground. What a way to welcome yourself to the crease. I said off air at break, it's set up for a Vince 100 to win this game. 13 for 1.
Vince averaging 41, highest averaging Hampshire batsman in this year's competition, just over 200 runs. Strike rate of 129. You would think the wicket, the way it's playing, would suit Vince's play. I mean, I don't want to stick my neck out any further than that, because commentators are often told off for cursing a batsman, but out of the wickets that we've had so far on this ground in this T20 competition, this looks more suited to Hampshire's, to Vince's play more than any other. Whether that manifests itself into a big score, we'll have to wait and see, but you would think that the conditions are ideal for it.
They certainly are, but with scoreboard pressure he has to go. So
yeah.
Overton into the attack from this hotel end, bowls to Donald, that's full and not timed again, driven into the offside, but into a gap this time, so he picks up a single. He moves on to 4, 14 for 1.
Donald hasn't had a great tournament, only averaging 14, top score of 48. This is his 7th innings. Due a score?
Yeah, he is. I think we've seen sort of glimpses of what he can do, well, or a big glimpse in that championship game, but he hasn't delivered yet. As Overton bowls to Vince, that's down the leg side, and that was nearly a fantastic catch by the keeper, diving to his left. It's a dot ball after all that. I don't know if that was bat. Do you think that was bat?
I don't know. We won't ever know, really, do we? I mean, Overton's reaction suggested there might have been an inside edge onto his thigh pad. Good diving stop there from Banton. It would have been a fantastic catch. But because the ball's going through quite nicely, isn't it? The keepers have got to get across really quickly.
So Overton certainly bowls with a bit of pace. Craig Overton, the man, bowls to Vince. He's heaved that over the onside, and actually he's heaved to mid-wicket, and it's dropped. That's dropped at mid-wicket.
Byram.
That's the youngster Byram. Could that be an important game-changing moment in this game? They come through for a single, so Vince will be off strike, but that should have been taken.
Whoa. My word. What was that? About chest height to his right, maybe a little higher. Difficult in a way, isn't it, to get your hands up high and cup it around the ball, but we've seen them taken more than they've been dropped.
Overton to Donald, gives himself room, hits up to mid-off, extra cover comes round to cut it off just before, and they come through for a single. Donald just not timing the ball just yet. He moves on to 5, 16 for 1.
Oliver Welsh at Sunderland Sports says, I think Hampshire need a miracle to win this game. Need a few players to get a big score. I need to hope and believe. He says, yeah, I certainly do. Well, may that have been a turning point with Vince dropped.
Craig Overton into Vince bowls. He advances. This time it's gone straight in the air. Keepers come round. Actually, they both just watch it and it lands safe. He's given a second life here. 17 for 1. He comes through for a single. I don't know what he's doing here. I just quite like to see Vince play Vince shots, just timing the ball through the offside like we've seen. He just seems to be that scoreboard pressure makes it. It just looks like he's doing too much.
I agree. I mean, he's got away with that again. I mean, if I was Overton, I'd be really hacked off there. The keeper starts going and then stops, and third man, because of that, stops as well. So you've got, I mean, you just want to see one fielder go for it. If they miss it and they call for it and they get it wrong, then fine. But when there's just miscommunication there, as we saw once in the Somerset innings, it's annoying for a bowler.
Overton to Donald, that's ramped over the onside. This is two fielders coming to it, and I think he might have done well there. He has, and it looks like he may have hurt himself. No, he's fine. That's two in the end. That's gone very high. That was an interesting sort of rampy whip off the hip. That's what I'm going to call that. I don't really know how to describe that.
Rampy whip off the hip. We'll love that. I tell you what worries me already. I know it's a big score, and I know Hampshire have got to find ways of scoring quickly. But already for me, the ball's in the air a lot. The ball's in the air an awful lot, which is slightly worrying because already, Vince has been dropped. Miscommunication between two fielders, which I don't know, even if one had gone for it, I still don't think they would have got there, but even so. And that one there's gone a long way in the air. Could have gone anywhere. You know, Hampshire could be 3 down now.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think the way Hampshire go about this chase, they're probably aware that they've got to stay up with the run rate, but I think sometimes you can overthink this and you start going for big shots every ball rather than actually, like James Vince is so good, like he did in that first delivery, let the ball come to him and just hit through the field, play a proper cricket shot.
Tim Grunwald, the right-arm medium pacer, comes in from the pavilion end and bowls to Vince. Vince works that on the onside, runs the first one quickly, goes to square leg. They won't go 2 there. Now the total is 21 for 1. Now the Duckworth-Lewis total, this is what they're worried about, because we do think there's going to be some more rain at some point. The Duckworth-Lewis right now stands at 32. So this is what Hampshire are keeping an eye on, especially of course once we get to 5 overs. So you can kind of understand what's going on in a way. Grunwald bowls, Donald drives, gets a thick inside edge, goes out towards mid-wicket. Certainly wasn't aiming there. 22 for 1. Donald moves on to 8 and Vince has 7. Russo the man out. Run out. Direct hit from Lammonby.
Yeah, the Hampshire batsmen just don't seem to be timing the ball just as the Somerset batters were just yet.
It's a bit frantic, isn't it? Vince cuts it away on the offside, doesn't time it, it goes out into the covers, tried to give himself a little bit of room. That right foot well outside leg stump, trying to chop that out away on the leg side. Russo made 6, by the way, before he was run out. Yeah, it's frantic. It's just very, very frantic. They're playing 2 games in 1 here. 1 overall, of course, trying to chase 203 for victory, but 1 chasing Duckworth-Lewis.
I think sometimes that plays a big part, and actually, in the end, it ends up a full 20 over game.
Yes, I know. Now Vince comes down the wicket, whips that away on the leg side behind square. I think they'll run 2 here. Vince turns. Throw goes in at the far end from Babar Azam, who's still got plenty of puff left despite scoring 100. Did quite well there.
That adrenaline would be powering him through. He'll want it to be a match-winning 100, that's for sure.
Yes, he will. On the losing side, having scored 95 not out in the corresponding game up at Taunton earlier this, about 2 weeks ago, 2 or so weeks ago. 23 for 1 then, Hampshire. The Duckworth-Lewis total already is at 36. It's going up all the time with each delivery. Hampshire just can't quite get going properly. Third man comes up now. Ring of fielders on the offside, all saving 1. As Grunwald comes in and bowls to Vince. Vince works that up to mid-on. I'll jog through a single on this occasion. 24 for 1. Vince moves on to 10.
I think this is, with 3.5 overs gone, I do feel Hampshire need to make the most of this power play. They need to get up with that Duckworth-Lewis score. That's now at 37.
It's still windy as well.
So Hampshire 13 runs behind where they should be at the moment.
And we're in full darkness now, so it's difficult to tell if there's any clouds coming over the hill in front of us. We have absolutely no way of knowing. All we can tell is if the rain's here when we look in the floodlights. At the moment we're okay. As Grunwald comes in, 2 men out on the leg side on the boundary. Vince is trying to hit on the offside, misses the leg stump as Vince is outside.
Donald.
Leg, sorry, it's Donald, sorry. Trying to whack that away on the offside because all the fielders are up on the 30-yard circle. Fortunately for him, it misses his bat and the leg stump. 24 for 1, 4 gone. Only 5 off that as a good over from Grunwald, that one.
Yeah, I'd say Somerset is certainly on top here at this stage. Only the 1 wicket, but it could have been more. 1 drop catch, a couple of half chances. But Hampshire need to go some here, chasing 203 to win.
It's difficult to settle down, isn't it? It's difficult to settle down in T20 cricket anyway, but when you're trying to go at some rate of knots early on as well.
So it's Overton into Vince. That's in the air this time, and 3rd time lucky. There's a man under it, and he takes it this time. James Vince is dismissed for 10, and that's a big breakthrough for Somerset. They're very much on top now.
Well, apart from the very first ball that James Vince hit Jerome Taylor back past him for 4, didn't time another ball, did he? And the ball's always in the air. And you cannot hit it in the air. We know what Vince is trying to do. I mean, Duckworth-Lewis is already standing at 47. And we are expecting rain. Hampshire way behind already at 24 for 2, but Vince just never, at any stage... Well, I would say he looked calm, let's put it that way.
The thing is as well, every wicket that falls, the Duckworth-Lewis score goes higher and higher. It's now up at 47, so they're now 23 runs behind where they should be, should it rain at this point. In comes Sam Northeast, who's not in the best form in this competition.
No, it's not.
This would be a perfect opportunity for him to change that for the Hampshire fans. 24 for 2 then. It's a cold evening here. There's Overton in to Sam Northeast, bowls, and that's turned down to 3rd man. Timed that nicely. Will just be a single. Score moves up to 25 for 2. Donald, the man at the the striker's end now. He's scored 8 off 11 deliveries. Just haven't timed the ball yet.
Hampshire have got to find some momentum from somewhere. Just going to have a look at my weather app again here. It's suggesting that, well, actually...
Overton to Donald. He's gone for a big heave towards the leg side, and he misses. 25 for 2. I just feel here Hampshire just need a bit of control.
Yeah, they do.
It's a bit reckless at this stage, but chasing a big total, an element of that is required.
Well, my weather app suggests there might not be any more rain now. Not until after the conclusion of this game.
Overton again from this hotel end to Nyron Donald. Gives himself some room, ramps it, and that will race for 4. 2 bounces over the rope. That's a good shot from him. A bit of movement around the crease, but sets himself and hits over the fine leg who's in the ring. He moves to 12, 29 for 2.
Yeah, quite deliberate shot, wasn't it? Outside off stump as well. Did well there.
He plays that quite well, I think. He plays it quite uniquely. He doesn't get down on one knee like you quite often see batters. He sort of stands up tall as he plays that. As Overton into Donald. This time it's driven, and I think it's gone straight up into the air. There is men chasing, and Waller takes a catch. That's a fantastic catch from him again, diving away from him, and Hampshire lose another wicket. Donald is dismissed for 12 after that fantastic shot for 4. He's now caught at mid-off, going over his shoulder.
Wow, he had no right to take that, did he? What a catch that was. What a catch. We've seen a couple of good catches tonight. Donald getting one out in the deep earlier, and now he's fallen to an equally good catch there from Max Waller. I never thought he was getting anywhere near that.
I thought it was just sort of almost coming with the wind. I don't know if the wind is coming this way, and that's a good catch. And fielding often wins you games of T20 cricket as well as the other skills, and that was a fantastic catch. And he did a similar, or well, I'd say this one was better than the one he took down at home, but diving, but good hands. And that's actually really hard because you're watching the ball over your shoulder as you're almost like racing to catch up with it. And full length dive, takes it comfortably with 2 hands. A new batsman, Liam Dawson.
Well, I hope somebody is updating Hampshire batsmen, because for me it doesn't look as though it's going to rain again for a while. Overton
into North East, cuts that, but only finds backward point. Will be no run. That's the end of the 5th over, 29 for 3.
Well, Hampshire got to be careful here, otherwise they could be so far behind in this game with very few wickets remaining that they're just playing out the last few overs of the game with a bit meaningless. This is the 4th time that Hampshire have lost 3 wickets in the power play. 4th time this season. I mean, listen, I suppose there are reasons in this game why they will have lost wickets early, because they will say, look, we've got to get ahead of the game in the first 5, but this is just becoming happening too many times. I mean, last year it was worse, wasn't it? It was terrible. Here's Gonwald then from the pavilion end, bowling to Liam Dawson. Walks into that shot as he plays that away on the onside. They'll get 2 here actually. Goes out towards deep mid-wicket. Babar Azam runs round from deep square leg. And Dawson, who did a really good job in that run chase at Taunton.
What is he averaging in this competition?
Dawson averaging in this competition 39. Now, it's not a huge strike rate of 102, but what he has done, and he's doing here, it comes in when Hampshire are just teetering a little bit. The innings could go one way or another, and he's helped get them back on track. And wow, he's done that once or twice already this season, and he's got to do it even more tonight. That's played up to mid-on. He'll get another single. Just works it around. That's his game, Liam Dawson. 9 fours in his games so far. Only 1 6 he's hit in this year's competition.
I do feel if these two can build a bit of a partnership and create a bit of a platform, there's towards the back end you've got Fuller, Morris and McManus, who actually did something similar down at Somerset, but a platform is needed.
Gronwell to north-east, who works that to fine leg. It's gone too quick to Taylor. They can't take a single. He's up on the 30-yard circle. These aren't Hampshire's 2 biggest stroke players, are they? They're not Hampshire's 2 biggest hitters. This is going to be interesting to see how these 2 play it.
I think to an extent, as you said, there's no real rain about. They just got to look to rebuild and create a platform that they're still in a chance.
Yeah. North-east works that just behind square on the offside. They'll only get 1. Oh, they're going to come back for 2 actually, and he's a bit off balance. Throwing that is Craig Overton, and I think North-east spotted that.
That's well run. That's really well run.
Short boundary side as well. Thought there was only a single there. 34 for 3 here, Hampshire. The Duckworth-Lewis total is showing 63, I think that is, at this stage. 65 or 63, one of the 2. It's a bit difficult with bright lights away to our right and left. Here's Tim Growell, but they're behind. That's all you need to worry about at the moment. As North-east just pushes that quietly into the offside, and they come through for another single. Again, good example of the running between the wickets between these 2. 35 for 3 in the 6th, last over of the power play. It's not been a good one again for Hampshire.
The big thing to look at as well, the required run rate is at 11.9, so just short of 12, which is by no means easy for only 5.5 overs gone.
It's not, that's for sure. That's a length ball. Dawson just quietly pushes it out on the offside. I think the Somerset fielders have already gone sort of deep, allowing the batsman to come through for a single, because they don't mind that. They want to make sure they cut off the boundaries. End of the over. 36 for 3, 6 gone. That's the power play over. Another horrible power play for Hampshire.
If you look at Somerset at this stage, they were 42 for 2. So actually, there's not too much in it other than... And it was this partnership, wasn't it, that was crucial. And they still had that top order batsman of Babar Azman at the crease.
Yeah.
So if Hampshire can rebuild, accumulate, start getting some boundaries, some big overs, they're not out of this game, especially with this middle over and middle order with the short boundaries that are out here tonight. But again, losing 3 wickets in the power play.
Yeah.
But would you do much different? Like we talk a lot and regularly say 3 wickets are gone in the power play. What would you do differently?
Change the order.
As Overton bowls to Dawson, and that's played back down the ground, that's well fielded, and he turns and throws as Dawson thought that beat him, and it's a dot ball after all of that, but well fielded off his own bowling. What order would you go with?
Well, I know you like Vince opening, don't you?
Yep.
I think all I've heard from the Hampshire side is how close they are to getting everything right, but they haven't got anything right yet, really. And they've won 3 games, fine, but they've lost 3 that have been close.
Overton to Dawson, and that's a play and miss outside the off stump.
But the only performance which was almost complete was the one against Essex and Chelmsford. The others been very bitty, been very all over the place, really. And listen, they are a good side on paper, as are every other side in the competition. But
so
it's still not right, is it?
No. What would your top 3 be? There's Overton into Dawson. That's turned away. That's a fantastic shot. Pure timing. That's just travelled over the rope there. From backward a point and deep third man, there was no chance either of them were getting that. He moves to 8, 40 for 3.
I agree with you. And Hampshire's best period in this competition was when it was the Vince Carberry opening partnership.
So, would you go same top 3, but just...
Last year, Hampshire were hopeless up top and Russo was opening. And they're not great up top now. So there's a case for me to drop Russo down the order a bit.
Overton again into Dawson. That's driven through the offside this time. Lovely shot, but well fielded at extra cover. Diving to his left. Acrobats. And Dawson moves to 9, 41 for 3.
I think there's a case for either Donald or Russo to drop down. I would probably, on the fact that Russo didn't have a great season in this competition last year, I would drop Russo down the order a bit. I would probably have Donald and Vince opening. Would you? Who would you have?
I think I'd have gone Riley and Vince if it was me. Donald has Russo's played better innings as Overton bowls, length ball pushed back to him. I think that innings of Riley Russo down at Sussex, I think that was a good innings by him, and I don't think I've seen... I don't know, I think Donald has it in him, I've seen that, but he's not necessarily fulfilling his full potential yet in this competition. And I just want right hand, left hand sometimes in the power plays a good thing to have, which is why Riley at the top of the order. Overton to North East, that's a heave onto the onside. They come through for a quick single and it will just be that. That's 7 overs gone, 42 for 3 Hampshire.
So Hampshire need 161 from here with
13 overs left.
13 overs to go. Oh, my word. The rate's over 12s now. And the Duckworth Lewis at this moment in time is 74. I think it's fair to say there's a lot to do.
Yeah, I agree. And so the other thing that I was going to say is I potentially would still leave the top 3. I'd like to see Vince opening. And the reason I say potentially would is I don't know who else I'd put up there from potentially outside or even in the 11.
I know, that's the dilemma, isn't it? Because it looks right, doesn't it? I mean, the makeup looks right. But, and I know these games are a bit hit and miss, of course they are. But I think because Hampshire have had such good history in this competition up until the last 2 or 3 years, it's painful, actually, if I'm honest. Here's Roller van der Merwe then with his left arm darts as North East pushes that out to deep extra cover for a single. I say left arm darts, he's just a little bit quicker than slow left arm. Just sort of fires it in a little bit quicker than most.
The other thing you potentially could do is, I guess, which isn't a usual tactic, but add a bit of control to that top order. Potentially, like Liam Dawson has had a fantastic competition. You could bring a bit of stability, or North East and put them higher, but he's not had a good competition himself.
Dawson swings away. I think he's got a bottom edge onto the pad. It goes out square on the leg side. They scamper through for a single. Dawson moves on to 10. North East has 6, 44 for 3. I just think, at what point do you say we've just got to tinker with it? I don't think it needs wholesale changes. I mean, last year it needed wholesale changes. It doesn't need that this year. But how long do you keep saying we're almost there? North East comes down the wicket and pushes that up to mid-off. You know, we're over halfway now in the competition, and you know, when you look at what qualifies you to get into the quarterfinals, you know, last year 8 wins got you in, although 7 also got you in, but there was, you know, obviously no results, and abandoned games helps, but it's generally about 8 that gets you through. As that's a cut away, good diving stop at backward point. We'll come through for a single anyway. 47 for 3. Hampshire need another 157. 7 wins got you through in 2017, and Somerset actually got through with 6 in 2017 in the qualifying stages. So that for me, that was quite an unusual year. So you can say at least 7. As North East gives himself some room and somehow manages to only play it back to the bowler. It's a dot ball.
He sort of followed him there. I think that was good bowling.
Yeah. As you say, fire it into the batsman, van der Merwe. That's what he does well. There's van der Merwe again from the pavilion end. North East has missed the stumps, and it's somehow has eluded the firm grip of Banton. That's going for a bye. That's not missed the off stump by very much. Banton may have thought it was actually going to hit the stumps and somehow just didn't really get behind it. A bye takes a total under 47 for 3, and that is 8 overs gone. And Hampshire need 150, it can't still be 156, should be 155, shouldn't it? Duckworth Lewis is showing 81 here, and true to the weather app, it hasn't rained yet, and may not do for a while.
Yeah, I think not bad batting from these two at this stage. A partnership is needed, but they're going to have to go through the gears and quite quickly. As Overton continues to Sam Northeast bowls, that's hit down the ground. There is a long on out there, but he can't stop that. That's a fantastic strike by him. Good from Sam Northeast. That's Hampshire 50 up as well. That's 8.1 overs gone.
Alex Wavel at Somerset Sports says Dawson walking to the crease inside the power play yet again this season. So many sides signed a top order overseas player, but for some reason we seemingly felt we didn't need to do likewise.
Overton to Northeast. He's trying to give himself some room to play it down to third man. Doesn't connect. Dot ball. Liam Dawson just coming down to have a word to his partner. Tapping the pitch as well, do the gardening. 51 for 3.
And Joe at Somerset Sports says maybe we need to start opening with Liam Dawson and Sam Northeast to get a stable start, then leave the bigger hitters for later in the game. It's a different tactic.
Overton again into Northeast. That's hit through the offside. That's a lovely shot, but the man at cover does come round, and it's just a single.
It's a chicken and egg one in a way, isn't it? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you did open with these two, and they got to something like 38 for 1 at the end of the power play, everybody going, well, why didn't they hit it? You can't win in a way.
No, I think, but the tactic is to make use of that power play, isn't it? And it is for T20 cricket everywhere. As Overton bowls to Dawson, that's cut and not timed out to the cover sweeper, be another single.
I think whatever happens tonight, you have to say at the moment Somerset are winning this. But I think for the fact that it's the 4th time this season that Hampshire have lost 3 wickets inside the power play, I think the question needs to be asked. That's for sure. And also, did they believe that it was going to rain? Because it hasn't rained.
Overton from Hotel End into Sam Northeast. He's cut that, but only finds the man at backward point. He's timed that nicely, so he's a bit frustrated. Looks up to the sky there, but he's looking for that gap. Northeast is a player. He always wants to be leg side of the ball, doesn't he? And hit through that offside. That's his strength.
We don't want to be seeing him trying to hit through mid-wicket though, because we've seen him get out a few times, haven't we? Hitting across the line on the leg side, bowled.
No, that's what I mean. I like seeing him playing his strength. Yes, he's found the fielder, but that's his. As Overton bowls again, hit through this time to backward of cover. They're going to come through for 2. Northeast has to hurry, and so does Liam Dawson. It went to his end in the end, but they come through for a couple. Sam Northeast moves to 14, 55 for 3, and that's 9 overs gone.
And at the same stage, Somerset had 67, so it's not lots in it, it's just again Hampshire have lost early wickets. Alex Wavel at Somerset Sports says if we wanted a slightly more stable option opening, then surely Allsop would be the more obvious option rather than Dawson or Northeast. Well, he would, of course, if he was fit, but he isn't fit. I saw him actually last week, and he was having a hit, so he's sort of having hits in some shape or form in the net. But I think he's still a week or 2 away at least, I think. I don't know, I'm guessing at that one, but he's on the road to recovery, that's for sure. Here's Roland van der Merwe then with his left arm spin. Dawson comes down the wicket, almost makes it in Yorker, guides that to backward point. Come through for a single. Zach Grunwald doing the fielding there. 56 for 3 then. Dawson has 13, Northeast has 14. Hampshire were 29 for 3 in the 5th over, so these two are having to make a recovery here and get Hampshire back on strike, but they are way behind on the Duckworth Lewis. It's showing 90 at the moment. That's cut away by Northeast out towards extra cover. They've got 2 men out in the deep on the offside. They've got deep mid-off and deep extra cover. Somerset and Northeast keeps finding the deep extra cover out there. 57 for 3.
Just an interesting point. How much do you think Hampshire missed someone like Mason Crane today? He was just getting back into his rhythm. The wrist spinners tend to turn the ball a little bit more. How much do you think he could have impacted this Somerset total?
Well, the way he's bowling at the moment, a lot, I think. I think he's back to somewhere near where we all hope he would be. There's a swing across the line by Dawson out towards deep mid-wicket. He's picked picked up cleanly though by Overton out there, so it's only a single once more. 59 for 3. But I think Brad Taylor did all right. He had one bad over, didn't he, Brad Taylor, today? He bowled really well on Sunday. I mean, you know, 1 for 22 or 4 on Sunday. I mean, it's difficult to know whether Mason Crane would have done better. You're right, it's just starting to show a bit of rain here. There's a reverse sweep there from northeast, misses, taken by Banton outside the off stump. Just a bit in the air. I don't think they won't be going off for this.
No, we obviously can't, and we can't see the cloud cover as it's pitch black. So
it just looks as though it's raining a bit harder now. I'm afraid if we do go off and don't come back, Hampshire have lost this comfortably. Down the wicket comes northeast, drives hard up to mid-off along the ground. 59 for 3. Hampshire need 144. Duckworth Lewis is showing 95. Hampshire well out of it at this stage.
yeah, I just think as well, Mason Crane tends to pick up wickets in those middle overs. Like, you just come out of power play, and yes, Brad bowled well. I'm not saying he didn't, but having a wrist spinner in the side, I think's a good option.
Dawson swings away in the air. Has that gone all the way? He's caught on the boundary by Azam, low down by his knees. Did really well there. The ball just seemed to die. It looked like about halfway the ball was going over the rope comfortably, then it just seemed to die, and Babar Azam took a really good catch two-handed around his knees, and Dawson goes for 14. It's 59 for 4.
Yeah, big blow that for Hampshire. Dawson's been key in this game or this tournament in building partnerships and holding that middle order together, and in comes James Fuller at number 6. He's got a big role to play. There's 10 overs left, so we're halfway through this Hampshire innings at 59 for 4. They required 203 to win. James Fuller will have to almost play for his life to chase this down.
I think everybody that comes in now has got to play way above themselves, and that's not a great situation. Exactly 10 overs gone, and the rain is coming down. It might be, from a Hampshire point of view, it might be probably the best ending, really, because I mean, I can't see them getting 144 here, can you?
No, not unless fireworks happens. Jerome Taylor back into the attack. James Fuller may take a liking to him, as he did down in Taunton, and here he will be facing the first delivery, short boundary to his right, as Jerome Taylor bowls from the Hilton end, and that's hit to mid-wicket. It'll be no run.
Dan Berto at Somerset Sports says, is it time to throw the manager under the bus yet? No, not really, Dan, because whatever happens for Hampshire's campaign in this T20 competition this season, they've already won more games than they did last year. They won 2 last year, they won 3 this year, so it's an improvement. However way you look at it, it's an improvement. And
I think the management this year have been fantastic. I think
they have on the whole, yeah.
They've come, there's been changes in the side, and positive from looking at it this way. Taylor bowls, Fuller's driven that, and it's a leading edge. Banton's chasing after it. It's not going to be an easy catch, and he takes it. That's Fuller dismissed for a duck.
Is it Morris?
Oh, is that Morris? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, yeah. Morris. Gone for a duck. So, caught Banton. That was a good catch over to his right shoulder, and surely Hampshire can't win it from here.
We've said that for a little while, haven't we, really? It's Jerome Taylor, the bowler. I mean, it's just some of the shots, if I'm honest, don't really sit well with me on the whole. I just think there's just, I'm going to hit this ball. You know what I mean? I know T20 cricket is a bit like that, and if you get on a roll, you probably feel like you can hit every ball, but it just feels as though there's not a lot of thought sometimes into some of the shots.
I think when you see teams at their best, like for instance that Babar Azam innings, he just played proper shots and timed them well and manipulated the field well, hit the gaps, and it was none of this sort of, he just never looked like he was hitting the ball too hard. As Taylor bowls to Sam Northeast, that's heaved into the onside, only finds mid-wicket, that's well fielded, shy at the stumps, but probably wouldn't have been out by Fuller.
Greg Hill at Somerset Sports says, evening, from the Somerset persuasion, I feel very lucky to have a season ticket so I can watch players like Banton and Barber come on Somerset. We seem to have a few Somerset listeners with us. I mean, BBC Somerset are doing their own commentary. We had Jack Brooks listening earlier. He might still be listening.
I think it's probably because they tune into the live stream, isn't it?
Oh, of course. Of course.
There's Taylor into Sam Northeast. Bowles, that's heaved away onto the onside. If he takes that, that's a ridiculous catch. And he's caught that. That is fantastic. That was in the air, yes, but he's hit that hard and that's diving to his left. Wow, that was a good catch.
Wow, I'm going to take a punt. That might be Byron, but we'll wait for confirmation. You're right, Emily. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's Van der Merwe actually diving to his left. It was hit flat and hard. And it's one of those where you take off and you think, well, if he's killed it, great. Unfortunately, if you're listening to the live feed, you won't see that, or watching the live feed. Listening to the live feed? Watching the live feed, you will not know exactly how good a catch that was until good old Ben from the Somerset media team puts that up as a clip on the Somerset cricket website. And I guess Hampshire might not do that, of course, because that's one of their own that's out. But even so, that is an absolutely tremendous catch, and you know your night is not your night when you go to catches like that.
And I also think it's a fantastic catch when the home crowd applauds you as you're going back to the boundary. I think not only did he do well to catch that, like to get to the ball, he did well to hold it because it was hit so hard, and on landing as well. Wow, I thought that was 4 all day.
I did. I make it that Hampshire have lost 3 wickets with a score on 59.
Taylor to McManus, that's played onto the onside along the floor, will just be a single. Lewis McManus has had a good tournament with the bat, but has a lot to do here. 60 for 6, I think.
Hit the winning runs down in Taunton. I cannot see. I'd love to be able to say he's hit the winning runs here tonight, because that will be one hell of a finish. Probably the finish like we'd never seen in T20 cricket before.
Jerome Taylor again from the hotel end here at the Ageas Bowl to Fuller, and that's turned into the onside. They have to hurry. There's a man at mid-wicket and they get through safely in the end. Well run by Fuller. He picks up a single. 61 for 6. That's 11 overs gone, 9 overs remain, and the rain is coming down here. It's swirling as well under the lights with the rain.
Let's just get him off. I mean, I'm not sure I really want to watch this last 9 overs, if Hampshire even lasts that long. Because it doesn't matter how well somebody plays now, you cannot see Hampshire getting anywhere near this.
I think you talked about a game earlier on commentary where Somerset got 1-8 something and then Hampshire got nowhere near it. I can remember watching that in the crowd, and I feel like this feels like a similar sort of performance here. 91
all out 2 years ago, Hampshire. Yeah, Somerset 189 for 3. I mean, they're not, at this rate, they're not even going to get to 91. We've got Max Waller back into the attack. 1 over for 3, his first over from this commentary end and hotel end. Hampshire need 142. We've got 9 overs left. Duckworth Lewis is showing 127. Hampshire 61 for 6. Whichever way you look at it, Hampshire are way, way, way behind. Here's Fuller facing Waller. Just quietly turns it on the onside. McManus runs the first one quickly, but it's picked up cleanly in the outfield. 62 for 6.
That's what I like about McManus. He just looks so busy at the crease, and I think he's a real positive for Hampshire, having come into the side potentially because Alsop got injured, and I think he's made it his own by playing as he's played.
I agree. Swings away on the onside. He's a big shout for an LBW. Not out, says the umpire. He's swinging across the line there, McManus. Looked fairly straight from here.
But that's his shot, isn't it? You don't sort of mind McManus playing that, as he hits that so well.
He's got to play a few of them, hasn't he? He might as well have a go now. There's a reverse sweep in the air, and he's just over third man. It was a quicker ball there from Waller. I think it surprised McManus, got big on him. Ball got high on the bat. That's where the shot went in the air, but fortunately he got enough on it to take it over third man. That's a boundary. Haven't seen too many of those from Hampshire in this innings. 66 for 6.
Do you know what? I know the game's over, well, it's not necessarily over, but it pretty much is over. I'd love Lewis to be here at the end and have played a good knock. Yep,
that's for sure. Will somebody play a good knock? Give the crowd something. He's reverse sweeping again. He's along the ground to short third man. Grenwald doesn't pick it up cleanly. Total moves on to 67 for 6. McManus on 6, Fuller on 2. And I'm afraid it's been a bit of a procession again from Hampshire batting. Could be forgiven really for going hard in the power play, maybe on this occasion. as Fuller works that on the onside. They run the first one quickly, or McManus does. I don't think there's going to be two. Now there's an example of the fielder coming in quickly there, because that ball landed on the 30-yard circle, and yet the man at mid-wicket was in quickly, anticipating, because if anybody was going to be quick enough for two, it would have been McManus, but he couldn't do it.
Somerset's fielding has been outstanding this evening. The catches, there's been a couple of that should, like 9 times out of 10, probably aren't taken. This Max Waller one over his shoulder, that I think that dismissed an Aaron Donald, then that one out in the deep by Van der Merwe.
Yeah. Well, there's a sweep shot, doesn't get hold of that. McManus called through by Fuller. Throw comes in to Banton. Good running. Fuller runs well past the stumps there, just to make sure that he got enough steam. 69 for 6 then, and that's 12 overs gone, 8 to do. Hampshire need 134. I think we can safely say at this stage an unlikely 134.
Yes, it would have to be a miracle, really. I think the crowd, some of the crowd's leaving now as it's sort of drizzling, and a pretty one-sided game at this stage. As a coaching staff here, I guess they reflect on it. The next game's away at Gloucestershire, isn't it, on Tuesday?
You have to win that one. It almost is now becoming must-win games after this.
So it's Taylor to continue to bowl to McManus. He's gone for a slog towards the leg side and misses.
Gloucestershire have beaten Surrey tonight. Gloucestershire winning by 9 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis method. No result between Essex and Glamorgan.
Rain really coming down now. Sideways rain, and the hover cover is coming on. This is very, very heavy rain here. And at this stage, Hampshire would have lost by a lot on the Duckworth-Lewis score. 132 is where they should be, and they're currently 69 for 6.
Wow.
This is proper rain here. It almost looks like snowing in the floodlights.
That is huge rain, isn't it? Absolutely huge rain, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is it, because there's going to be a lot of rain gets on this surface before even the hover cover gets on. Sussex won tonight by 4 wickets, beat Middlesex. That's a good win for Sussex. Middlesex have been doing well in this competition. A.B. de Villiers has been a real revelation for him. I see that he's signed, hasn't he, for a couple of extra group games, one of those against Hampshire. I think that'll be at Lords. No, it might be down here actually. The first game is at Lords against Middlesex. The second one is here. A.B. de Villiers is signed for that. He was coming back for the knockout stages if Middlesex got through. He's now coming back for the final 2 group games. So A.B. de Villiers will be here.
It's good to see actually, like, big names playing in this T20 Blast competition. I think it's been, especially, well, the South group for me has just been so strong this year, and there's been some fantastic players to be seen. 69 for 6 Hampshire, and it's pouring with rain.
It is. I think we might take a little break this time, actually, because this looks like it might be in for a little while. So 69 for 6, Hampshire needing on the Duckworth-Lewis at this stage 132. They still need 134 from here to win this game. It looks very much as though Somerset are going to claim victory this evening, and they will go above Hampshire in the table. Hampshire have dropped to 5th already with the results so far tonight. Somerset, if they can get 2 points, will go just behind Gloucestershire, so they'll swap places, both these sides. And Hampshire rapidly getting to the point where they've got to win most of their games between now and the end of the group stages. The roll-on covers are coming on as well as the hover cover. Obviously the ground staff believe that this is going to be in for a little while. Myself and Emily will take a little break. It might be an enforced break. Keep looking at our Twitter site at Solent Sport to find out that whether this game is called off or not, or whether we're back on commentary. Of course, if there is more action this evening, we will be back with you. But I have to say, at this stage, it's looking 50-50 at best.
Yeah, I agree. It's the first time we've seen the rollout covers on, and I don't think either teams will particularly be raring to get out there in the situation they're in.
Okay, thanks for the moment. Thanks, Emily. If we're not back with you, then of course we'll see you again on Tuesday evening at Bristol.
Here are the winners in the Sydney's Golden Gamble. Robson, these are your tickets. Please take the ticket numbers to collect your winnings. Third prize of £40, ticket 62362. Third prize of £40, ticket 62362. Second prize of £90, goes to ticket 62470. 62470. And tonight's top prize, £150, ticket 62292. 62292. Those are three golden and winning tickets this evening. Please collect any of these while getting place. Just casting our eyes on all those good jobs on Sunday afternoon, 2:37, 5,000 ales, and tickets for Hampshire Bank is also racing next Friday night, the 7 o'clock start on visitors, sure to be a cricket, over the line of the Somerset, opportunity to Hampshire, of course, love to see on the way. 7 o'clock. The city's national quarter football possible. Somerset by the Ageas by 62 runs on the Succession. We thank you for your support.